Well, happy Monday, everybody. Ben and Woods back in action on 97.3 The Fan. Great to be here with you after a beautiful weekend, certainly, and one filled with sports and music, at least in my home. A lot of sports, a lot of music went down. I'll tell you all about it. I'm Woodsy. To my right is Paul Reindl, the executive producer of the program. Good morning, Paulie.
Hey, how are you?
Doing great. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. Benjamin, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Woods, you said, wait, let's just do some foreplay here and not jump right into the big news.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's some big baseball news. You guys have probably heard it. But it's all the way across the country in New York. What do I care what the Mets are doing? You know what I mean? We have our own lives. We have things to talk about here locally. Not really, though, because our team isn't signing anyone ever. And I think I want to put that off as much as possible as well. Because every 15 minutes this week I saw Orioles sign Gary Sanchez. Dodgers sign Michael Conforto. Dodgers extend Blake Trinan. Blang, bing, bong, bing, bing. Nothing. We got nothing. Nothing's happening locally. I don't know what's going on with our team. Maybe by the end of the show, we'll have some news that will most definitely break at 10:01, right before Andy and Elston take the airwaves.
You can ask the skipper himself. Hey, what's going on,
Yes,
Mike?
that's a really, really good point. We'll ask old Shilty at 9, what's shaking? What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing out there? Just eating barbecue or just taking it? Have you been to the JFK Museum yet? Because you guys haven't signed any players.
I mean, technically the meetings are just getting started now.
Yeah, but look at all this action this weekend. Hey, Mike, it's called the Reunion Tower. It's the stick with the big ball on it. Go up the elevator, get yourself a meal, and the room rotates around the ball. I bet you didn't know that. It goes really slowly around, and you can rotate. That's a cool thing.
How fantastic is that?
It's great. Mike, you love it. You will love it.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it is. It was cool. Did you get up there yesterday?
No.
No, not yet. Okay. Make sure you get down there today. Get up,
Yeah.
Get up to Reunion Tower and get yourself a nice meal. You and AJ. You know, what's happening out here? I think we could have. See, now I'm off in the sports.
Well, that's the
we
thing.
could have afforded Gary Sanchez. What is going on? Kyle Higashioka's gone.
I know everyone wants to know how my blood draw went on Saturday.
Well, while
Forgot
you're here,
about that.
well, I did forget. I should have checked on you.
My big weekend event.
What an a-hole.
Sexy weekend.
What an a-hole I am. Knowing full well my partner's
Right
going
here.
to get his blood drawn.
Right here on the left arm, yep.
I didn't even text him to find out how it went. I really didn't. I'm sorry that I forgot about it.
I mean, the blood draw went fine, but then they told me at the end, we also need a urine sample. And I go, you didn't tell me that. I wouldn't have gone before I came to the, lab if you had told me that.
Number one.
Oh, no.
So then I had to do the whole I'm 6 and start the water running in the sink to hear the sound to see if I could make it happen. I'm sitting there for 5 minutes, just concentrating and hoping I could produce, and finally I did.
Cut little dribbles in
Yeah.
there. Here you go.
It was awful.
So you had no idea.
No, they just said blood draw, and then they said, oh, we also need a urine sample.
What are they testing you for?
I have no idea.
I'd be nervous.
Ketones or something?
I
Whatever's
doubt
in
it.
there.
No, that's I don't know, man. I don't know what I don't know. You don't just spring something on somebody.
That's what I thought, too. I was completely shocked.
No, by the way, while you're here, we're going to pull that tooth in the back while you're here in the blood bus.
I know you mentioned that. Today, I have a dentist appointment.
Oh, my
so
God. This is
we'll
medical
have-
week.
We'll have big news tomorrow morning on how that went
Well,
during foreplay.
And I found out something. I was a little disappointed that Ben told me this morning. I had thrown down a challenge to him last week because my goal for Benny is to just be a little bit more well-rounded, and I do think you're too immersed in the wide world of sports. And so we went through it last week, and I said, all right, so what do you listen to on the drive-in? And you said Maggie and Perloff and PGA Tour Radio. I said, all right, you're coming in to do a 4-hour show on a sports station. We talk other things, as you guys know. Then when you leave here, what do you listen to? Sports. All right. Then when you get home, what do you watch? Sports. And then when you go to your other job, what do you do for that job? Sports. And then on your drive home from that job, what do you listen to? Sports. I said, why don't you mix it up? I said, can you go 5 days, starting Monday, with just listening to music on the way in? And he said,
I know Ben loves a little LRB.
It's on my mix. There it is. Mix number 1. The only mix.
Oh, is that Little
Right
River
there. That
Band?
is Little River Band.
Liver Riddler Band. Oh God, that hit so good,
I
Paulie.
failed
love
this morning.
So day one.
I failed.
Day one.
I was just worried. I didn't realize. You got to remember the winter meetings are on.
Yeah.
Obviously, you had the huge news last night. But what if something else was breaking this morning and I didn't know? I'd like walk into the show, I had no idea what was going on.
But you'd have an hour or so, 45 minutes to get it dialed in. You just can't miss anything in the wide world of sports. All right, so here's the thing. It was unfair of me to ask you to do that this week during the winter meetings. So next week.
Thank you.
Next week, which will be our last week on the air for a while.
Oh.
Is that right?
Yes.
Last week of the year.
We have two full weeks left.
2 full 5-day weeks. One of them culminating in a Christmas and holiday extravaganza.
I do not know how we're going to make it, but we will do it. We will persevere.
Oh, we'll be fine.
And get through there. Yeah, my weekend was very musical. I went down to see one of my favorite bands on Saturday at the Observatory with my buddy Brian. They're called Crosses. It's Chino from Deftones and a guy named Sean Lopez, and they do. Deftones is pretty heavy, but this is more dreamy. Some beats behind it. It's really, they're just so good. And you put his angelic voice on top of that, and he dances and sings, and the lights and the visuals are just incredible. So went down Saturday night, had a great time. Went home, and I woke Hannah up, and I said, hey, listen. I said, Bo's been wanting to see Crosses for a long time. And she said, oh, no. It's a Sunday night. And I go, yeah, but it's like Christmas week. Like they're gonna. I think this is the week where they start rolling the TVs in, and they're like, all right, you guys are watching Elf. You know what I mean? I think we're at that week when people are pretending to work and they're pretending to go to school. So I said, babe, look, this is a side project for him. I don't know if they're ever going to do another record. I don't know if they're ever going to do another tour. I think they will, but I can't be assured of that. I can get tickets for I can get them a ticket for like $70. I take them down. They come on at 9 o'clock sharp, and we'll be fine. We were home by 10:30, and he had the time of his life. Now, I don't know how he's going to react when he wakes up this morning. And she goes, if he is a D-head this morning, it's on me. I go, all right, I'll wear it. That's
but
fine.
I feel like that's the greatest incentive as a parent. You now need to show me that you can handle this.
Correct.
Because if you can't, we won't do anything fun like this ever again.
So I told him last night, I was tucking him into bed. I said, buddy, I need A+ from you in the morning. I said, that way we get to go do stuff like this on school nights. You know, it's a lot for me to go out on a Sunday night and go back-to-back concerts. This is a lot. I said, but I'm doing it because I want you to be able to see him. And he was so into it. He was singing along and dancing, and it was special, man. That kid loved it, and he just liked spending time with his old man. We went to dinner before. He really had a great night. So it was a fun weekend. We had a birthday party for a 7-year-old, so that was fun. Just slinging the football around it's so fun seeing all these little kids I've known since they were a year old, 2 years old, 3 years old in preschool. They're like little dudes now, and they're out there like directing traffic, playing football. It was very special. So it was cool, man. We got to drive some kids around in the van. They all love that.
You don't know this. I got to go inside the Ben bus
as
well.
You saw the Ben bus
I did. I saw
Saturday.
it on Saturday morning.
What'd you think of the pop-up?
Went into the back of the Ben bus. The pop-up was fantastic.
So my wife's been making these.
Did she sell out? How did it go?
So she made like $2,000.
Wow.
I'm not kidding. For like 2 hours of work. Like that could be more lucrative than real estate. Actually, no. But
Probably one payment on the Ben bus right there.
I think we'll need a few more pop-ups. So she set up the pop-up. She makes these little hats, and she's like has a hat press and all these patches. My garage looks like a little sweatshop. And I told her, I was like, I think I should get you a neon sign in here that says Hannah's Sweatshop, because it also doubles as a gym.
There you go.
But it's also her little
sweatshop.
sweatshop.
Yes.
I thought that was genius. She did not like that idea.
One of those signs that says 0 days since last industrial accident.
since last hat press malfunction. So she went, sold the kids got some donuts. They were selling. Did you buy any donuts?
No, I had to fast because I hadn't had my blood drawn yet. It was torture. looking at the donuts going,
boxes
oh,
of
I want
BGs.
some so badly, but I'm fasting for my blood draw.
Yeah, dude. So the Ben bus was lit this weekend. We had she was slinging her hats out of it. I don't know how much longer she's gonna do. I told her just open an Etsy shop and just do that.
The Ben bus is phenomenal.
It's rad.
It is so cool.
Yeah.
Although I did have some nightmares of thinking, had I, the car sick prone child that I was, had I had to sit back there on a 2-day drive to Yellowstone,
Right.
how miserable I would have been in the back.
So the only way to do it, right, is
you're sitting sideways. You're facing the sides.
Yeah.
On the bench.
You're not facing ahead.
Yeah, seatbelts, but you're facing the side. I couldn't have done it. I could not have done that.
What if your mom and dad had made out the bed, and then you could just
maybe if I was lying down, sleeping.
But I think it's very unsafe. But I think we're gonna have to do it when we drive to Vegas. I think we have to make out the bed, get them all cozy, their pillows and blankets and stuff, and they can lay back there. Maybe
Otherwise, it's going to be, I don't feel good.
Yeah, and vomiting all over
that's not good.
the Ben bus for sure. But yeah, man, it was a great weekend. It was a great weekend. Great to be back. And again, they gave us a ton of content. We got a ton of stuff to talk about today, and we actually have a few interviews as well. We're going to be a couple of busy beavers in here on a Monday morning, but that's the way we like it. That's the way you guys like it. Thanks again for being here.
We might be too busy today.
Today we may be too busy.
We may have too many guests. We may have too much to talk about.
We have too much great content today, guys. We're so sorry. We're so sorry.
I didn't say great content. I just said content.
I want to talk about the Alabamans. Is that what you call them?
I think so.
Alabamians? Alabamites? Absolutely losing their minds this weekend on all social media, including their AD. I mean, I've never seen anything like this.
Alabamians.
The Alabamians. I like Alabamites. Hey, you ain't putting us in? Why you putting us in? We ain't never gonna schedule no tough out-of-conference games again. Yeah, you scheduled Mercer.
You didn't
all right?
lose any out-of-conference
You didn't
games.
lose any out-of-conference games. You lost to 2 500 teams. You had 3 losses. What are you crying about? You handle business, you're in. Never seen more spoiled, ridiculous thinking in my entire life. But I digress. We will talk about those hayseeds this morning and everything that shook out in college football. Interesting weekend in pro football. Really interesting weekend in baseball.
College basketball. I mean,
that's the one I missed. I missed all the USD SDSU game. I was out partying at Crosses.
There's going to be some spillover to tomorrow.
Yeah.
I just don't know what it's going to be, but we'll get to as much as we can. When we come back, let's start with the big news that broke last night, though. You know by now, Juan Soto to the New York Mets for a decent chunk of change. Let's just say he's not going to be hurting for cash ever again. And we'll set the menu for the program on a Monday morning. It is December 9th. We are fully into the holidays now with Ben and Woods and Paul. Kelly Danick with traffic on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
Well, Willie Adames news really dominated the headlines for
15 minutes.
Yeah, if that, over the weekend. Nice job. Nice job, Willie and his agent, and really controlling the offseason narrative. Because as the winter meetings begin this morning, there's only one thing that everybody is talking about in Major League Baseball, and that is the 15-year, $765 million deal Juan Soto agreed to with the New York Mets last night. The process played out, and in the end, Juan Soto went for the biggest contract. Kind of like, well, you know, he and Scott Boras had been pretty much directly saying for the last, 4 or 5 years that was the plan. Ever since he...
Good morning. How we doing?
Hi, Juan. Ever since he turned down, a paltry 400-something million from the Washington Nationals.
440.
It was always kind of leading toward this.
Everyone laughed that dude out of the room. Think about that. He turned down 14 years, $440 million.
You're an idiot.
People
How
were
could
like,
you do that?
I mean, bro, when he got here and he scuffled a little bit, people were like, what an absolute buffoon this guy is. Imagine walking away from 440. He damn near doubled it. Damn near doubled it. That in and of its own right is a remarkable achievement. remarkable.
The details are almost as mind-blowing as the actual contract figures, including a $75 million signing bonus. An opt-out after 5 years because, there's a lot of people in the world who want to opt out of a $765 million contract.
How good do you have?
$51 million a year is okay.
How good do you have to be to opt out of a contract like that?
Don't know. I mean, the Mets can void the opt-out if they want by adding another $40 million or so to the deal and making it over $800 million total. If they were really worried that Juan Soto thought he could get a better deal at age 31 by hitting the open market again. He is protected and covered. And then the really big detail that there are no deferred dollars at all in this contract. It will be paid pay as you go by the New York Mets, unlike Shohei Ohtani, whose real value of his $700 million contract is more in the $400 to $500 million range because of all the deferred money. Juan Soto is going to get the entire $765 million or more as it happens without having to defer a single dollar. So not only is it the largest contract in professional sports history, it blows it out of the water in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Absolutely destroys it in real world dollars. It's not like $65 million more. It's hundreds of millions of dollars or more in actual value compared to Ohtani's deal.
Yeah, there was a couple of moments, I think, thinking about it yesterday, and I did see people echoing the same sentiment as I felt. Couple things. Number one, we miss Peter Seidler every day here in San Diego. I don't think Peter Seidler was sniffing that deal, right? Even though he loved Juan Soto, wanted to have a winner. I don't think Peter Seidler would have done that deal.
Even if he wanted to, Major League Baseball would not have let him.
Correct.
They would have taken the team
right.
away from him before they allowed the Padres to authorize nearly $800 million in spending for one player.
They would have put him in a straitjacket and taken him to Bellevue and said, we're dropping you off, man. It's not happening. So that gave me a little bit of relief knowing, okay, get that pipe dream of Soto and Manny and Tatis and Jackson Merrill all playing together out of your head. Then the other one was the Dodgers didn't get him. That was good. And then the other one besides that was that I forgot the other one. Those are pretty much the two. Oh, the trade. The Padres trade for Juan Soto netted us some really, really good players. Now, a couple of those guys have moved on, but I think by next year, the combined war of what we got out of Soto for what we got back, we're going to be in the green there, or in the black, as they say.
I think it's already a win just on its face. Padres, improved, got to the playoffs, and have at least another year of control of Michael King.
Yeah.
Plenty of Johnny Brito and Randy Vasquez if they turn into anything. And, of course, Drew Thorpe was parlayed into Dylan Cease. I think it becomes a real win if you can extend Michael King and keep him in the fold for some extra years to come. And then you feel really good about the deal that 1 year ago at these same winter meetings.
It was like a year ago Friday.
The deal that A.J. Preller made with the New York Yankees. And if you're the New York Yankees, you got to a World Series with Juan Soto, but it stings a little bit. The reports were that the Yankees definitely wanted to keep him, that they offered 16 years and $760 million, but simply did not match what the Mets were willing to give. And, we can talk about Juan Soto's choice of going after that really extra little bit. It's not nothing. It's an extra year, an extra $5 million, that he's getting. It's definitely the biggest offer with the New York Mets, but he could have stayed with the Yankee, been a pinstripe legend for life if he wanted to, and certainly wouldn't have been hurting his family. His family's family, many generations, would have been well taken care of by the New York Yankees. But he simply, like a mercenary, was going for the biggest deal, and he got it. He absolutely got it from the New York Mets. It's
interesting, though, because he did obviously go out for the biggest deal. He also went to a team that was in the NLCS. He didn't. No, you can't say winning's not important. He only wanted the money, right? Because this is a team that was maybe a Juan Soto away from going to the World Series. Who knows?
Much like the Yankees were a Juan Soto away. And we got fairly close, with Juan Soto.
if he
closer
signed
than
with
we'd been.
Anaheim or the A's or something for a record amount of money, it'd be like, you're years away from being a contender, buddy. But congrats on the bag, I guess. He's got the bag, and he's on a pretty damn good team with another MVP candidate in Lindor.
Yeah. And some good young talent like Vientos, who really stepped up in the playoffs. I mean, there's a lot to be happy about. I mean, obviously, if you're a New York Met fan today, the unintended consequences of not only did we get Juan Soto, who's the best hitter on the planet, if not one, he's 1A, 1B. We took him from the Yankees. The Yankees didn't get him. The Yankees pinstripes don't mean what they used to, because that deal 20 years ago, Ben, no brainer. No, yeah, bro. I'm not going to Queens. I'm staying right here in the Bronx. I'm going to have a statue in Monument Park. That used to mean a lot. It doesn't so much anymore.
There's no doubt that the Mets are getting an incredible player for a very long time for a very large amount of money. I think the counterpoint to that argument, and I'm not trying to rain on Mets fans' parade. Be excited, be happy about this deal. We'd be happy if it was Padres making a deal like this. Ultimately, though, the New York Mets were, technically the second best team in the National League last year. They lost the National League Championship Series to the Dodgers. After spending $765 million on Juan Soto, they're still the second best team at best in the National League. They did not really improve their standings. They're still behind the Dodgers by a good chunk.
Well,
now they could add to it. They probably will, because they have tons of money.
Who are you adding to any team that's going to catapult you over the Dodgers? Is there anybody left?
I don't know.
That's kind of how I feel. Like, as we do this on paper, as we do every year, and we realize every year it doesn't really matter how we do it on paper. They do have to play the games. Juan Soto makes their lineup 5 times better than it was yesterday, right? I mean, immediately. What an impact bat to add to your lineup. Now, obviously, we know about the outfield play. Something he could work on. I mean, it's happened. It's happened before. You give a guy $765 million, I think it's fair to say, hey, we need your defense to improve. For whatever reason, the metrics every year are like, well, he's fine. Let's nominate him for a Gold Glove. We've all seen him play. I'm not as concerned about it. His bat more than makes up for it. But, yeah, look, it's a way that we all cope with losing a guy like Juan Soto.
They're still not overwhelming favorites even to win their own division.
Yeah.
With the Phillies and the Braves. They're going to continue to be good. Now, they're going to be in the playoffs, hopefully, if you're the Mets fan, and have a chance to win every year. Just like we hope the Padres will get into the playoffs and have a chance when you get to the postseason. And maybe Juan Soto comes through. Maybe he doesn't in the playoffs. He's had some big playoff moments already.
Very
so
big.
You're certainly getting something out of Juan Soto. But does he completely change the discourse in what the National League is right now? I don't necessarily think that he does.
I mean, he was the top prize. He was the top prize in free agency. And when your team lands the top prize in free agency, well done. You should be happy.
It's a good feeling.
It's a good feeling. It's not your money, people. Steve Cohen does not need your money. Adam was in the chat last night. We were texting. He goes, no player's worth that much money. I go, it is if you can afford it. And Steve Cohen, again, I've been pounding this in everyone's head. This money in baseball is not real money. These guys are playing on a different level. This is funny money to them. And I know he's not the global superstar that Shohei is, where he'll be able to actually pay for his contract. But he's no slouch by any stretch of the imagination. If you're a Met fan, you have every reason to be gloating, happy, elated. You get to see a really good hitter every single day.
On the menu for the program today, it includes a live update from those winter meetings with our pal Sam Levitt, who is in Dallas and will give us the latest this morning at 7 o'clock. He's going to be joining all shows all week long, at least through Wednesday, while the meetings are going on with any news, especially if there is any Padres news. And we will talk about the Padres, and obviously not free agency, but they announced their coaching staff over the weekend. New piece from Dennis Lynn in The Athletic that we can talk about as well in terms of what the payroll is and is not going to look like coming up here in 2025. We will play Take on Woods. We get a brand new getaway prize for you. Just a couple of weeks to qualify for it as well with our last 2 weeks of the show this year. Don't do this at 7:20. At 7:35, we'll continue, at least quickly, our Ben and Woods Unwrapped as we look back at the month of March, our favorite moments of the year. Talk a little college football playoff and the complaining Alabama fans. I can certainly take the other side of that argument. It was very close. between Alabama and SMU for that last spot in the college football playoff. But ultimately, Alabama could have made this a non-issue by, not losing 3 games.
Beating 500 teams.
Second half of the show, we have more guests, including the skipper of the San Diego Padres. As we mentioned, Mike Schilt will join us from the winter meetings at 9 o'clock. We've got some James Taylor tickets to give away as well.
Taylor.
James
Wow.
freaking Taylor. Yes, all of that coming up as we head toward 10 o'clock this morning. When we come back, though, more from the winter meetings, talk some San Diego Padres baseball and their moves and lack of moves so far on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Woods, the San Diego Padres have a perception problem at the moment, and it is of their own making. There is no doubt about that, but I've seen a lot of dissatisfaction from Padres fans, and it's only going to increase after big money deals like Juan Soto's contract are being announced at the winter meetings, and the perception, at least, the reality is Padres have been sitting on their hands so far this offseason. But I definitely am looking at what Padres fans are saying, and it's not entirely accurate. And I want to ask you this question, and we'll do this after traffic. But here's the question to you, to Paul, to Padres fans. Would you be okay if the Padres said, we're going to increase payroll by about $40 million this year? Does that sound reasonable to everybody? Think about that. And then we'll come back and talk about the finances of this team after a quick check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by VA House Casino and Resort. Great time to be out on the roads, guys. Fire up those seat warmers if you got them. We're up to a chilly start. There's a crash in the North County, south on 15, just past Rainbow Valley. 2 or 3 vehicles involved. They're in the center divide. VA House Casino and Resort is home to the best players club in my VA House. Start earning points toward incredible rewards like free gifts, concert tickets, hotel stays, dining discounts, and more. It's time to ditch the other guys and join the best. The My VA House Players Club, VA House Casino and Resort. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
This isn't like a trick question. Like,
Not
what
a
if
trick
I told
question.
you they're already going to add $40 million
Well,
just in contracts that you
right.
forgot about?
Which is where we're kind of heading here.
He's
because
doing this bit, isn't he? Yeah.
Well,
I'm on to you.
It's I mean, there's certainly the thought that it seems like the Padres are cutting payroll. I got that message 60 times, it felt like, this weekend on social media with the Padres. Hey, they're packing Petco Park. Fans are supporting this team. Why are they slashing payroll this offseason? Okay. And in reality, the Padres are not going to slash payroll. They're going to increase it quite a bit from last season to this season. Unfortunately, that's all going to go to just keeping some of the players they already have. Increases in arbitration,
King,
salary increases for guys like, Tatis and Manny, who are getting more expensive, just to keep the team together, and not even the whole team together, is going to cost the Padres quite a bit more next year. About $30 to $40 million more.
King's getting a bump. Cease is getting a bump.
Arise is getting a bump. Manny, Tatis, all going up in salary just with the natural increases that they were built into their contracts. Now, I'm not saying that, this is anybody's fault but the San Diego Padres. They had their cake, but they're not necessarily getting to eat it at this point.
Yeah.
The bill does come due at some point.
Right.
And the Padres did some outsized spending. We were all quite happy with it, over, the last few years of Peter Seidler's stewardship, where they did outsized spending. And now some of that bill is coming due. And while the payroll is going to go up, I don't think there'd be any way they could slash payroll this offseason without like a major fire sale, which I don't anticipate happening.
Trading all of those guys.
They're not getting rid of Tatis. They're not getting rid of their star players this offseason. So payroll is going up. The problem is you don't want payroll to go up. You're a fan. You don't care about payroll. You want new players. You want new guys who are going to come in and be good and help the team get better and hopefully win a World Series. Now that I'm not sure the Padres are going to be able to do this offseason. That's the big question. Not whether payroll is going up. It is. The question is whether they're going to be anybody of significance that's going to help the team in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, and that, look, if you're a Padre fan out there this morning, and you're like, God, why weren't we on Juan Soto? You knew better, right? They were never going to be in the mix for that. I mean, I was texting you guys last night. I go, man, imagine a lineup that had Tatis and Soto and Blake Snell in it. And I said, oh, wait, we can. We can imagine that. We had it here. And but no, I think the bummer, Ben, is that all those people that we all fought against that said, is this sustainable? Is this sustainable? They're right. They're right. It turns out it wasn't sustainable, at least for now. And that's a tough pill to swallow, especially when that ballpark was packed to the gills, 60 times last year, or whatever it was. So look, man, I hate to have this such a cut and dry elementary answer about it, but you got to figure out a way. You got to figure out a way to add good players. You have to, because even if you brought back all of those guys getting their bump, You still don't have a left fielder. You still don't really have a catcher. You still don't have the arms that you need to compete. So I think you need to figure out a way to get very creative and move some money around without losing some of your best players. Not my problem. It's not my circus. It's not my problem, not my circus. You got to figure it out. The fans did what they needed to do. They showed up, spent their hard-earned money, a lot of it, and they filled that joint.
Back in 2017, not that long ago.
You're going to run the risk of them not – you're going to run the risk of fans going, oh, all right, what did we add this year? Nothing? All right. I'll just watch on TV or I'll just listen on 97.3 The Fan. You know what I mean? Like you really run the risk. You need to give – we talked about it on Friday. When you're a fan, is it conditional? I think the answer is yes. If you did a fire sale and saved a bunch of money, how we're going to reload for the next couple of years. How do we know that? So they need to figure it out, man. They got to be able to add some of these guys.
I mean, back in 2017, the Padres were 29th in payroll at $71 million and change. They've gone up to the top 10 in 4 of the last 5 seasons. Last year, they dropped down to, I think, 14th or 15th to start the year. But it's still a massive increase over where they were just a few years ago. So, yeah, they have increased spending quite a bit. It's not a bait and switch. They haven't pulled the rug out from under anyone.
No, I don't feel bait and switched at all. I do feel
it's kind of, but it's like a you can't stop now.
Yes,
mentality.
It's
at least from the fans' perspective.
From the fans' perspective,
well, that's the perception.
You better not ever go back to how it used
That's
to
the
be.
perception problem because the Padres kind of let you think that, but the plan was always we're going to increase payroll a lot to try to make this team better, make it competitive. Check mark. And then at some point, we're going to have to be a little more reasonable because we don't have a TV deal. We're not in a major market. We're going to have to scale it back to more reasonable levels. Not what we were before, much higher than we were before. This was always the plan, but no one ever got in front of the cameras and went, all right, here's the plan. In the next 3 years, we're going to blow your minds with how much we're going to spend. And then we're going to level off to something that's much higher than it used to be, but it's going to be, not crazy every single year. They can't sustain crazy increases every single year. And now we're seeing the other teams, they're catching up. They're having their phase where they're now spending crazy, where the Padres are not. They're going back to a more reasonable level that still includes a much better roster than they had. Way better chance to win games and go to the playoffs. But
it does. But I think
if you're waiting for big giant signings, they're just not happening.
I don't foresee it either. Now again, we could be surprised. We have no idea. Nothing's leaking out of there as far as what they actually have to spend and what they're going to spend, or even what they want to do, or who's even making that decision. Right? We don't really know any of this. And when I look at guys like Gary Sanchez come off the board for $7 million and Higgy go off the board for $8 million, those are needs. Those are guys we're familiar with, we're comfortable with. It's not a lot of money.
Danny
Jansen's getting $7 million or whatever. Those are the ones, Ben, I look at and go, oh, we're not in play for those guys that are reasonably priced, familiar needs that we have here. Okay, what are we going to do then? AJ Preller's the most creative GM I know. Adam said it in the chat as well. Trading prospects for major league talent is certainly a thing you can do. There are going to be teams, and there are teams already, that have said, yeah, we're not in it. Guys are available. We're reloading. We're rebuilding. They won't call it a rebuild anymore. They call it a reset or a reload. But when teams are reloading, you can get pieces from them for not a lot. You wait. You're patient. They want to get rid of a little bit of salary. They'll eat some, but they want this prospect. Fine, go. Earmark the ones that you want to keep, the DeVries, the Salas, whatever. Earmark those guys, and the rest of them, you're a free game. And that's how you can add some decent pieces. It seems like that's what they're going to have to do.
I'll say this. I'm a hell of a lot more confident. AJ's always been the mad scientist. Since he got here. Year one to now, he's always been all about making the splashy moves, doing whatever it takes to be active at the trade deadline or in the offseason. He's always at the top of the headlines. But this time last year, we were wondering if he was even going to make it to the next season.
100%.
And he did maybe it wasn't ideal that it took 10 years to have his best year and put his best roster together, but it happened. And some of the moves that he made last year, getting the Marlins to pay for Luis Arias,
insane.
Getting Dylan Cease for essentially nothing. You know what I mean?
Drew Thorpe.
To go out and do that, I'm a hell of a lot more confident now based on what he just did in this last year than heading into the last offseason.
One thing that does look better for the Padres financially today are some of the long-term deals that they signed. Certainly Tatis, but even Manny and Bogarts don't look nearly as onerous when you see what the going rate is for superstars now. In Juan Soto's $765 million deal, $700 million. I mean, Tatis looks like an absolute
Am I insane?
Bargain at this point.
Am I insane and just have Padres brown and gold colored glasses on right now? Because Juan Soto's maybe the best hitter in baseball, arguably, right? Tatis is pretty damn good.
Yeah, he's pretty damn good player.
I'll take Tatis's speed over Juan Soto. I'll take his
his
outfield,
arm,
his
outfield.
defense, all of it. The range, the arm, the glove, everything in defensive speaking. And I'm looking at the contracts, and I'm going, you're telling me Fernando Tatis Jr. is more than half a discounted price of Juan Soto? I'm like, I'll take Tatis.
Every time.
14 for 340 compared to 15 for 765.
It's insane. It truly is insane. Those two players, and Soto's had a better career so far.
Sure. More durable.
More durable, yeah.
Play every
posts
game.
A lot more, certainly, which there's value in that, especially when you're spending that kind of money. But holy smokes, man. The Tatis deal, you take that over Soto's deal any day of the week. And that's not
compare the markets.
That's not Padres cope. That's not. I loved Juan Soto. I think he's going to do great in New York, and I'd be very happy if I was a Met fan. But yeah, man, Tatis on that deal in comparison to Soto's deal, it's a no-brainer.
Padres also announced over the weekend the return of the coaching staff, largely completely intact from last season. A couple of small, title changes, including Brian Esposito, now the bench coach. They've gone back to the more traditional method. They didn't actually have a bench coach. Remember, it was the duties were spread out. But when Mike Schilt got ejected, Brian Esposito became the manager. That, to me, meant he was the bench coach in everything but title. Now he's just going to get the title as well.
That's good.
You've got, of course, Ruben Niebla back, which we're all excited about as pitching coach. Dave Macias and Tim Leeper back as base coaches. Victor Rodriguez back as hitting coach. All the way down to Ben Fritz in the bullpen.
Yeah,
it's going to be essentially the same staff and, more stability and consistency than we've seen in a Padres coaching staff in a long time.
I like that, man. I do think that's a great move. And I think part of the reason that so many fans are bummed is because some of the pieces that were part of that really consistent team last year are gone. The Kyle Higashiokas of the world, certainly. And you get the sense that, maybe they're going to lose Jurickson Profar as well. And, again, I think we all said at the beginning of the offseason, bro, is everybody fine just running this thing back? Yeah, you're going to lose Tanner Scott. He's going to get big money. But you find, maybe Morejón goes into that role. Let's bring back as many of these guys as we can. And at
Seems
least
like with every passing day, though, that's becoming less and less possible.
That's exactly right. So
now Hickey's gone.
Yeah, now
Profar be gone.
And so now we're looking at it though. All right, at least the coaching staff's here and the culture's in place. That's a good part. But I think it's driving everybody crazy. How much do these guys have to spend?
Yeah, and I think the Padres shopping will be done at the end of the market,
late,
when the big names have signed and other guys are finding that, we're pretty much done. When they call the Mets and they call the Dodgers, we filled our roster. We have money, but we don't have any spots for anybody anymore. And they're starting to look around. Padres will be doing their shopping, at the end of the market. It's not going to be a big splash. I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't do anything over the next, 3 or 4 days. At some point, AJ will probably make a trade. Obviously, he needs to bring in another catcher. He needs to bring in another starting pitcher at some point. But he's going to be very judicious with how he does that and careful and going to compare a lot of different options. I don't think he can just circle a target and say, I'm going for that guy because he's the one that I want. He's going to have to go, I've got 15 guys and, I will see which one falls into our price range and into our availability later in the offseason.
Yeah, for sure. And again,
it's not sexy.
They have chips that they can trade. It's going to hurt. Dylan Cease being one of them. That's one. I was just seeing our buddy Tommy talking about it. He's a Boris guy too. You're not going to extend him. You're not. I mean, you won't. You're going to. If you trade him though, that's 180 out the door that you got to figure out how I'm going to cover.
Right.
And 180 pretty damn good innings.
That just creates another
hole
problem without solving anything necessarily.
It's not even about extending your window of opportunity. It's about capitalizing in this short window.
We'll recreate them in the aggregate, Ben, as they say.
But, if you're not going to re-sign him, just like with Juan Soto,
get something for him.
It's a good time to at least explore the possibility of getting something for him.
Ooh, is this the top? Juan Soto. Is that as high as it's ever going to go?
Good question.
Is that as high as it's ever going to go?
Sammy Levitt's going to join us live from Dallas with all the atmosphere and happenings at the winter meetings that is coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, gentlemen, let me do the heavy lifting here with Sammy Levitt. We're talking to him in my hometown of Dallas, Texas. Actually, no, you do the heavy lifting. I just wanted to say hi to Sammy.
All right. Good morning, Sam Levitt. He is live from the Anatole Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
In Dallas, Texas. Site
Here
of
in Dallas.
the MLB winter meetings. He got there last night, looking good in the lobby, already posting some videos on our social media accounts at 97.3 The Fan and reacting to the big news, Sammy, last night with Juan Soto already agreeing. That's a way to start the meetings with a bang.
That's how you do it. Jeff Bassan said it was going to happen, and it happened.
Yeah, it is. And, I wish I could tell you that when I was standing here in the lobby of the Hilton that fireworks went off and there were cheerleaders that came out announcing a new signing in Major League Baseball. But I think some of the reporters sent out those tweets and, they got the TV networks going and we went about our business. But obviously it was, it was the biggest news we've had this offseason. I think from just an action standpoint of what we could see at these winter meetings, it's significant because it felt like, Soto was the first domino that had to fall before maybe we see some of the other big free agents, really start to come off the board. Although we did have Willie Adames, obviously get a big deal with the Giants, and Snell, obviously a big deal with the Dodgers already. But, now I think the question becomes, what does the market look like for Jerks and Profar, who we know the Padres obviously have interest in, and obviously left field is a need. So, look, the Soto deal, the contract itself, I think, it made everybody's jaw drop around here. The money's unbelievable, but the Mets have an owner in Steve Cohen that is just willing to go to lengths that we've never seen before. And ultimately, you look at, a lot of the numbers, it just seemed like Soto wanted to be a Met, rather than a Yankee, because the Yankees offer was fairly comparable. So obviously the big news yesterday, and now we get to see what else happens and if we have any action for the Padres here in the next 3 days.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of what we were just talking about, Sammy, is that, I think from a fan base perspective, it's like, well, we better have some action, right? I mean,
yeah,
who's still on the board? Who's the next big ones to come off? I get the hiccups. Yeah, I'm all right. You got rumors about Corbin Burns, going to the Giants, and Buster Posey is really looking to build a good team to try to compete. The West is the everyone out here is signing elite players except for the Padres right now. Are you hearing any buzz? I mean, people hear you work for the Padres radio network. Is everyone kind of giving you the side head tilt going, oh, what are you guys going to be up to this offseason?
Yeah, I will say this. It's definitely a bit of a different vibe than last year in Nashville when everybody knew that the Soto situation was kind of looming above the Padres' whole offseason, and obviously they made that trade on the Wednesday night of the winter meetings, and they went on from there, and then obviously had a lot of action after that heading into the rest of 2024. But look, I think the vibe this time, in talking to some people last night, the first thing that came up was just the payroll number, and kind of people wondering, what the Padres are willing to spend, knowing they're up against the luxury tax already. And I think there's also, a feeling of, hey, it's A.J. Preller, and you just never know how creative he can get to ultimately, free up payroll and, get talent back and do what he needs to do. And my goodness, we saw him do that last season. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a different feel in talking to some people last night. There's not this big Soto thing for the Padres dangling out there, kind of hovering over anything. But I will say, I think the first thing that everybody's sort of wondering here is that payroll number, and it makes sense because that would seem to dictate what the rest of this offseason looks like and how aggressive the Padres have to get in, maybe making a trade involving one of the players on their major league roster and perhaps a significant player. So I don't know that they're doing you're here for the Padres, they're not going to do anything, because I think people know. Yeah, I think people know that A.J. Preller is A.J. Preller, and things can get kind of crazy. But I do, talking to people yesterday, the vibe is, let's see what the Padres end up doing, and I think the payroll number obviously has a lot to do with that.
All of Sam Levitt's coverage from the MLB winter meetings here at 97.3 The Fan is presented by San Diego County Credit Union. It's not big bank banking, it's better. And one piece of news that we expect to drop in the next couple of days will be the official posting of Roki Sasaki, opening up that 45-day window in which teams can woo him, meet with him, and eventually sign him. Have you heard any talk about Roki Sasaki in your brief time there? And, I mean, obviously this is going to be – I mean, he's not signing until after January 15th, but I wonder how much in terms of the rumors will be dropping and what kind of crumbs will be left over the next, 5 or 6 weeks before we really get to the point where he can sign.
Yeah, it's another big piece of buzz, I would say, last night is obviously where he's going to sign, and I think with the Padres in particular, how important he is, right? Because he's an unbelievable talent that you would get on the very, very cheap, and maybe that does free up the Padres to, move forward without making a trade, and having to go that way to free up money and acquire talent. So I think no doubt about it. I didn't get any inkling last night as to, where Sasaki is leaning towards signing, but I think the vibe around here is obviously for the Padres in particular, because of their situation, it would be a really, really, really nice deal if they could find a way to land him and could kind of free them up moving forward the rest of this offseason. So we'll see how quickly that happens. Like you said, people here are expecting Sasaki to get posted during the meetings. What does that mean as far as what we hear, him agreeing to a team, if that's going to happen quickly, if this is going to be a drawn-out process after he technically gets posted, that we'll have to wait and see. But for the Padres in particular, and with their situation, I mean, it's a key part of this offseason, and, you talk to people who believe they're in a good spot and in a strong position to maybe land him, so we'll see.
Sammy, we're talking to Sammy Levitt here on Ben and Woods this morning, and when we were at the winter meetings here in San Diego a couple of years ago, we did our show 6 to 10, and then just kind of lurked around for a while and pressed some flesh. What does a day in the life of Sammy Levitt out at the Anatole Hotel look like this week? You got call in with us, call in with Andy and Elston, call in with Gwen and Chris. What are you doing? You hanging out at the bar? What are you doing all day?
Well, I woke up this morning. I got a nice cup of coffee. They have a nice little concession thing set up, I think, for the winter meetings in the lobby.
Make sure you expense that.
Yes,
okay.
Of course.
All right,
actually, I don't know if cups of coffee by themselves, if that's on the Klug coverage plan.
Put it in.
We're telling you it's okay.
I'm telling you it's fine. You got the Ben and Woods
well,
rubber stamp.
I did expense my dinner last night. I'll tell you, last night I was kind of standing here around the lobby because the Soto stuff was all, seemingly coming to a head, and I was really hungry. I didn't, had anything to eat since before my flight in the morning. And I said, all right, I'm going to, hop across the street and go get a burger. And I did, and I came back. So I did expense that and then got back here right when the Soto news dropped. So that worked out well. But grab a cup of coffee, went into the media room, set up my stuff. My room is actually overlooking the whole thing here. So the distance from my room to the media room is very short. So that's a nice little perk. Good job by Adam there, getting the room all set up. But Mike Schultz scheduled to talk today. AJ Preller talks with myself and the rest of the San Diego media corps following the team here every day. So we'll have video and audio from that and thoughts from that a little bit later on in the day. And then aside from that, just talking to people here and trying to get content and all the different analysts they have here for MLB Network, the different reporters, different players. I saw Jake Peavy already walking around, so try to talk to him today. So, just trying to, gather information as best I can and provide content for our great fans back home and go from there. But a little bit later today, we'll definitely hear from Mike Schultz and we'll hear from AJ Preller as well. How much are we going to get from AJ Preller? We'll see. Typically, he doesn't tip his hand too much, but we'll be on it if he says anything particularly significant about the Padres' plans.
Now, Sammy, the Anatole Hotel, my dad, who was a disco king, Gary, he used that used to be one of his hot spots, and there was a nightclub in there called Confetti's. Is it still there?
I have not seen a place called Confetti.
All right, if you see it, take a picture of it for me, please.
Yeah, there are a few. Now, this is a big hotel. I have not been on the other side. I will say this, though, because you may remember from the last year in Nashville, the Opryland was just
massive.
It was unbelievable, amazed. I will say I prefer the winter meetings at a location like this or like in San Diego. It's much more centralized. There's not that much room to roam, and it's a lot. easier to manage, whereas the Opryland was just it was unbelievable.
It's so huge. It's out of control.
Yeah, I had no idea where my room was by the time I checked out still. So, yeah, this is a lot better. They got some nice restaurants and bars, and if you hang around, you'll pretty much see anybody and everybody you could think of if you hang around in the evening and see who's hanging out. So should be fun, and we'll see what action there is.
Try to get to Terry Black's barbecue. It's close.
Okay.
It's close to your hotel.
Yeah.
Try to get to Terry Black's. Saw that, yeah. It's absolutely incredible. Incredible.
Yeah,
That's my number one recommendation. All right.
Hey, have you ever been to a place in Fort Worth named Heim Barbecue?
No, I have not.
Good place. Now I don't think I'm going to get to Fort Worth
That's
on
a
this
hike,
trip. I
yeah.
don't have time for that. It's a hike, but that place, I went there a few years ago. That was
Terry Black's. Terry Black's
is
elite. It's elite. Now Adam's going to see that expense report and panic because it's expensive, but you get what you pay for. It's delicious. So check that out for sure.
I kept the burger and fries yesterday. I think it was like $21 with the tip. Pretty good.
I can hear it
look,
right now.
I'm a pro. I'm a pro. You go through 2 spring trainings. I know exactly what Adam Klug wants, what he expects, how he wants it executed. So nothing to worry about there. I'm a model citizen. It's actually really bad for you guys because I make you guys look bad because I'm so good. Yeah, I'm so good.
Before you go, Sammy, since you will get a chance to talk to AJ today, at least before the rest of us do, and I know you're not going to get anything from him. We know how that works, but maybe I'm just curious how the Roki Sasaki process goes. Like, can he shed any light on?
Let me tell you right now. There's already been an update in the last minute.
Okay.
John Morosi's reporting that he has officially been posted.
Okay, he's been posted. So now what? Okay. Now that he's been posted, what can the Padres say about, how do they try to convince someone when you can't do it with money?
Right.
Like, how does that process go? Are they going to host him for, a visit? Do they have a plan in place in terms of, touring him around Petco Park, San Diego? How does that work? And, how does that kind of shape their offseason? Because obviously, logically, if they get Roki Sasaki, completely different plan. You can then save your money and go after someone else. If you don't get Roki Sasaki, then you need to spread your money out, and get some pitching and do a different thing. It's a completely different offseason plan if you get Roki and you don't get Roki. And when will they know? I mean, will he not make a decision literally until January 15th? Or could he make a decision in 2 weeks and then they just announce it January 15th when the window opens? Because that changes your entire offseason strategy based on whether you get him or not. So that's your question that you'll get a non-answer to, I would think.
Yeah, I'll ask him pretty much exactly that. That's a good question. And, I think, not only the process, but to your point, the sales pitch, right? When you're not convincing somebody with money, when you're convincing him on organization and place and team and what you can provide. So I think it's a really good question. And Ben Higgins, I'll make sure to ask it a little bit later. Buster Posey just walked in. If you want me to ask him anything. No, he's walking the other way. Nothing for Buster?
I've got some thoughts, but I will keep them between me and Woods and not bring in Buster into the conversation. Sammy, we'll hear from you again during the Annie and Elston program with any updates this afternoon. Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And again, all of Sam's coverage from the MLB winter meetings presented by San Diego County Credit Union. It's not big bank banking. It's better.
I don't know what all the Roki I thought it was going to be January 15th. Does this sway anything? He's posted.
Yeah, but he won't sign until after January 15th. That doesn't mean, though, he doesn't have a decision in place.
A deal in place.
Yeah, they can have a handshake deal, and we'll announce it, when the new window opens. Now, can you trust it? He can always change his mind. As long as it's just a handshake deal, he can get cold feet. He can decide somewhere else. But
somebody else can come in and swoop in.
It really does change the offseason. If you get Roki Sasaki, you may want to sign another pitcher, but you may save your money more toward, hey, Jurickson Profar, let's bring him back. Let's do this with whatever we're trying to do. If you don't get Roki, then you got to really save your money for pitching and find ways to bring in another starter or two. That's a huge fork in the road for the Padres offseason. With Sasaki, you take one path. Without Sasaki, you take another path. And it's hard to make any big decisions before you know what his decision is.
Well, okay, so think about it, though. Is it really? Is it really?
If you had unlimited money, it wouldn't be. But
like his max deal is whatever is being freed up on January 15th, right? So that's his max deal. You can still go out and add pieces knowing we may have to spend another $7.
You can, but if
January
you know
15th.
you're getting Sasaki, you can spend more on other parts of your roster, like left field, catcher, whatever. If you don't get Sasaki, then you got to spend it on pitching. And so I think that's the real, tipping point of the offseason.
I'd say spend some money on pitching anyway.
Probably.
Never a bad idea. Never a bad idea.
Well, you need 2.
Yeah.
If Roki comes, you still need 1. At least.
We're going to push Take on Woods back to 8:10 an hour since we went a little long with Sammy, which is fine. You'll have a chance to qualify for Vegas coming up. As for we didn't really talk much about Willy Adames because Juan Soto took all the oxygen in the room. And I have nothing against Buster Posey. I have nothing against Andrew Baggerly, who covers the Giants for The Athletic. I like him a lot. He wrote a breathless piece about how Buster Posey just showed what grit and intensity he has as president of baseball operations by signing Willy Adames. He gave him the most money. Willy Adames didn't come to the San Francisco Giants because of Buster Posey's grit. I'm sure Farhan Zaidi would have been happy to spend that kind of money had he been authorized to do so. Just because Buster Posey is allowed to spend that money doesn't make him somehow a better president of baseball operations.
No, I mean he went to the highest bidder too. They had a need. They had a need. They filled it with a good player. I'm probably a moron and I'm naive, but I saw that move and I went, oh, good for them. I mean, it doesn't scare me like a Blake Snell to the Dodgers moves did. I'll tell you that. Like that one made me a little bit sick to my stomach. Willy Adames. I looked at the rest of their lineup. It's okay. It's okay. I like ours better right now as it stands today. I like ours better. I really do.
Don't Do This is coming up next, and no one revels in radio awkwardness like Stephen Woods. And boy, we have some awkwardness.
What the hell
happened over the weekend on WFAN?
My God. If you guys haven't heard this yet, strap in. We got the whole thing for you. It's pretty incredible.
Coming up next after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else. Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
Again, we'll have take on what's coming up at 8:10. Pushed it back a little bit, but we'll stay on time with Don't Do This Today. And, this was some spicy audio from Friday evening, I believe it was, on
Friday
WFAN.
Evening. Yeah, December 6th has been traditionally a very rough day for one John Heyman, baseball reporter. You might remember the arson judge to the Giants tweet that came out December 6th.
It's wrong on a couple of levels.
Yeah, didn't actually go to the Giants, and his name is not arson. John Heyman, John blocked me years ago. I don't even remember why. But now with the new feature on X, I can still see all of his tweets. So, haha. You think you got me, but you didn't. I can still see what you're up to. And was sitting around the house Friday night, and I know Keith McPherson a little bit, chatted with him a little bit in the DMs. It's like the late night host on WFAN in New York, works the night shift. Seemingly a really good dude. And he's a brazen guy. I mean, you're working radio in New York, right? So everybody's got that thick skin, and it's the tough New York media.
You're a brazen guy
yourself, I'm a little bit of a brazen guy, but like this thing went off the rails, and it went off the rails fast. As Keith brought up, oh man, this is the anniversary of the arson judge signing, and kind of threw in a little joke there about, are you on Boris's payroll? Like, how do you get this information? Are you on the take? What's your percentage? John Heyman absolutely lost his mind. Check it out.
People believe everything I tweet. I've had 100,000 tweets, and, you get one that was wrong, and it did say appears, and I know I rushed it, and it was a big mistake, and I regret it, but it's 2 years later.
No regrets.
I think
it's like
at some point, I think someone could probably drop it if they're a nice person.
What I think is it just like how I introduced you. Everybody in baseball knows who you are. So one, it's a credit to your work, your following,
Yeah,
and how.
By the way, I won't be going out with you again. The whole thing has been a disaster.
That's okay.
I think she's
I
joking.
can't even believe you said that to question my integrity.
Are you being serious right now?
I'm being serious. Yeah.
John,
asking me if I'm getting a cut because I have a relationship with an agent. That's outrageous. I know you're not a journalist. You don't know anything about this. I know you don't, but that's an outrageous comment. You should know that
it's
much.
Friday night at 8:30, John.
You should know that much.
And I am
I'm
not.
done with you.
I am
and
not
I'm
taking
done with
this that
WFAN.
serious.
Goodbye.
John, thank you for
I
joining
can't
us,
even
John.
believe it.
Thank you,
I
John.
can't even believe it.
Thank you, John. Appreciate your time. He's got to get to bed. I did not expect it to go that way.
He was a little cranky.
That was what the kids.
I think if you heard my tone and the way that I am completely joking and kidding and having a lighter conversation, something that I spoke about recently too.
As the kids call it, the crash out. The great John Heyman crash out of December 6, 2024. And I tweeted immediately, and I said, bro, we are not curing cancer here. You're not curing cancer.
I can't even believe it.
Thank you,
can't
John.
even believe it.
I want that forever. I can't even believe it. I want that, Paulie, to live in infamy.
I can't even believe it.
It's going right into the
Tournament of drops.
It's going right into the tournament of drops. 1 seed, bar none. Buddy, you misspelled a tweet a couple of years ago. If you can't laugh at that, I don't know what to tell you. Can't even believe it. I mean, you misspelled a tweet and you got the city. It happens all the time. Nobody cares. It's called breaking balls. Maybe I thought you were familiar with it. Isn't he like a New York guy too? John Heyman?
Yeah.
Thank you,
I
John.
can't even believe it.
Well, thanks for that. Thanks for that we'll have forever. What's your take? You're a journalist. I'm not. I'm more like Keith. I get that. And people were mad at it. People were mad at him, and people thought Heyman was a clown.
So clearly, reporters should have relationships with agents. Yeah. And, there are favored reporters, and agents will drop them more nuggets.
Oh, by the way, who broke the Juan Soto deal yesterday?
But the implication that he's on the payroll doesn't even make any sense.
Right.
Scott Boras doesn't need to pay John. He pays John Heyman by giving him great scoops.
Giving him scoops.
That's the kind of the reward. Now,
it's a joke, though. Clearly, it's a joke.
Is there an element of, hey, scratch my back, I'll scratch yours?
Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps, but I don't think John has done anything unethical. As long as he's not lying,
right?
In his reporting, then that's fine. Yeah, everyone's going to make mistakes. He's absolutely right in that.
Tyler said that drop is going to go so hard in the losing Padres wrap-up intro next season. What a brilliant idea. Oh, Padres lose in the 9th again.
I can't even believe it.
Suarez coughs it up. I can't even believe it.
I can't even believe it.
Amazing.
Speaking of New York and mistakes, I got called out last night. I was hosting my Sports Extra program on Channel 10 when I was doing the Juan Soto story. And Julie McGee on Twitter actually tweeted to you.
She tweeted me.
Said, be sure to give Ben Higgins lots of crap for calling my home borough the Queens.
Oh, no.
I did. So, I did. I knew I said, when I came out, I said, Juan Soto is leaving the Bronx for the Queens. And the problem with that, if it was radio, I'd just stop and I'd go, well, that sounded dumb. Obviously, it's Queens. It's not the Queens. But when you get off track, everything's timed down to the second. I don't have time to go back and add 15 seconds and laugh at myself on television. Then we're off the clock. The video's off. Nothing makes sense anymore. So I just you know me, plowed through it and just like, whatever. But she was absolutely right.
I can't believe you called it the Queens. I can't even believe it.
I can't even believe it.
I can't even believe it.
Julie, I can't believe I make one mistake.
She gets
out
you.
of all the shows that I've ever done, I make one little mistake. I say the Queens, and you call me out for it. I can't even believe it.
I can't even believe it.
Questioning his integrity. What's your favorite of the boroughs? Do you like the Bronx?
I always like that sitcom King of the Queens.
King of the Queens. What are you the Bronx fan or the Brooklyn or the Manhattan?
I like the
We
Long
know you
Island.
like the Queens. The Staten Island.
The Staten Island.
It's so good. It's like when people say the MLB. It kills me every single time. If somebody tweets the MLB, I'm like, you're a casual. You are a massive casual. Oh, that's so good. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, Julie.
Finally, a little quick do this on a Monday.
DD Mega Doo-Doo.
A little credit to one actor, Timothy Chalamet.
Yes.
Who absolutely killed it on College Game Day on Saturday morning.
Really was good.
He was the guest picker. I don't know. Do we have any audio of Timothy Chalamet? Listen how well
they're making their picks.
Spoken and prepared. He's sitting up there with Kirk Herbstreit and the whole gang.
He's promoting the new Bob Dylan movie.
Got his Bob Dylan movie coming out, but he did not do this like, okay, hey, I'll just like smile and make a pick or two. He came ready.
I'm going Jackson State, 8 wins in a row, 11 all-conference players. This should be a comfortable, easy win for them.
Breaking it down. This guy's a great actor.
Hey, he said, I only got 6 games. I'm bringing the heater on all 6 of them.
Listen, these teams are 2-2 in the last 4 matchups. The Red Hawks defense looks good, but I'm looking at 4th-year Bobcats quarterback Parker Navarro. Yeah. 65% completion rate. If he can get going, he'll tilt this in favor of the Bobcats. I'm going underdog Bobcats here.
Yes.
Underdog Bobcats.
I like that. I'm going to go with you guys with Miami of Ohio.
Okay, so yeah, that one in particular, he was right on Jacksonville State, but these minor games, like the MAC championship, everybody else on that table picked the favored team, Miami of Ohio. He said, no, Parker Navarro, their quarterback, Ohio. Parker Navarro threw 20 for 27, 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, leading Ohio, the underdog, to a 38-3 rout.
Unreal.
And none of the college football experts picked it. So Timothy Chalamet nailed it on College Game Day.
Here, Tyrone Lewis Jr., Cody Jackson, Tyree Skipper. They're going to step that defense up. Billy Napier's legend remains. The defense is strong.
Like he knew his stuff.
He knew his stuff.
All right.
Or he memorized his lines very, very well.
Or he was fed this info by someone. Again, it doesn't matter how you get to the end of the road. You got there. It doesn't matter how you get there. He crushed it. And everyone was like, why is this little twerp coming on and doing picks on the one of the biggest days of the year? You got that guy, and he knocked it out of the park. Oh, here's an extra do this. Robin says, just FYI, UCLA won NCAA water polo championship yesterday, beating USC in the finals. I know you like to be a well-rounded sports program. Since when?
Big Ten water polo is always important.
Yes, 100%.
And that's Don't and Do This on a Monday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3
Now,
The Fan.
Chalamet did sound a little bit like me when I don't watch a game, but I pretend that I did. Yeah, great night last night, 14 rebounds, 6 assists, 12 points. I mean, it looked really good. I've done that.
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. Nobody knows.
Chat GPT, give me a rant for this box score.
I'm going to start doing that. You guys will know. Yeah, he was great, man. He was great. I love that.
All right, when we come back, then it's wrapped. We continue into the month of March and look back at one of our favorite events of the year, opening day on the road in Korea for the San Diego Padres. Plus, since we just brought up a little college football, this may be the time to bring up your rant about Alabama fans and media over the weekend as well.
Worse than Dodger fans. No, they're not worse than Dodger fans,
That's
but they're
going a long way.
close. They're close.
It's coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We've done our fair share of events over the last few years with Tier 1s. Perhaps the most memorable, though, came earlier this year in March, and we're going to continue our Ben and Woods Wrapped, our look back at some of our favorite moments of 2024 right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, your trusted instant drive-thru oil change. Got a couple of problems along westbound 8, one in the East County, a collision past 2nd Street. Those vehicles are in the center divide. And West 8 at the South 805 connector ramp, stall vehicle blocking the right lane of that ramp. Also a crash on northbound 15 before Friars Road. About 4 vehicles involved in this one. They're over to the right shoulder. In the North County, eastbound 78 before San Marcos Boulevard. Watch out for a ladder in the right lane. Stop by any of the 30 San Diego Valvoline Instant Oil Change centers. You don't have to get out of your car. Usually only takes 15 minutes or less, plus get a free courtesy check of your tires and battery. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for directions and discounts. SoCalOilChange.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's number 1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So the last few years, opening day for the Padres has been at Petco Park, which makes it, kind of easy. We know we're going to be out somewhere downtown. Yeah. We're going to have a big day. Everyone's going to stop by. We know how that works. But this year, with the Padres starting the season in Korea, with those 2 games against the Dodgers, we sort of had the dilemma. What are we going to do? I mean, the games are in the middle of the night in San Diego. What can we plan to make this exciting and special? And we spent a good deal of time in the first, month or 2 of the year trying to figure out, well, what would work in that scenario?
Yeah, what is open? What is open? Where can we go that's open, that we're not sitting in a parking lot looking at a TV, on a mount or something? Like, where can we go and have food and drinks and warmth and togetherness and all of that? And believe me, we wrestled with this. When Adam initially pitched it to us of like, do you guys want to do something for Korea? My initial thought was, well, I mean, I know I'm going to get up and watch the game, but I just assume lay in bed and watch the game at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then the more I started thinking about it, I said, I wonder if there would be a market for it. Boy, was there a market for it.
So when we ended up announcing, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go to 7 Mile Casino, and we're going to have the games on all the televisions in the patio and the bar area. If you want to, come and join us. But we really had no idea what that was going to look like. So we booked rooms at the Rambler Motel right next door, checked in on the night of Tuesday, March 19th, and said, all right, we're going to set our alarms, get up around 2 in the morning, and walk on over to, I think what most of us were terrified was going to be a mostly empty casino.
I thought it would be 7 people.
4 or 5 people showed up, and we were there for hours, and then we're going to broadcast live somewhere around 7 a.m. after Sammy's postgame show was over. And I remember waking up and looking out the window of the Rambler and seeing streams of people walking by, and I was very confused because I know they have a huge parking lot over at 7 Mile. Why aren't people just parking at 7 Mile Casino? What's going on here? Why are they making this long, half-mile walk from somewhere else?
Yeah, is Tom Selleck in there playing cards or something? Why are all these people here? What's going on?
They're all wearing Padres
Everyone's
jerseys.
in Padres gear. It was such a trip.
They're going to the wrong place. They're confused. No, people got there while we were sleeping and filled up the parking lot, filled up the casino. People continued to arrive.
They had to turn people away because everything was full.
It was absolutely incredible. The only thing we didn't get was a win. The Dodgers won that game 5-2. But it was one of the most, I think, memorable radio events ever in the middle of the night in San Diego. And by the time we came on the air at 7 a.m. or so, we were all pretty cashed, and things got a little off the rails right at the beginning of the show.
Welcome in, everybody. Ben and Woods, live from 7 Mile Casino. Make some noise. Look at that. Great to be here with you this morning on a non-victory morning. It's non-victory. We have victory. What's today? Wednesday?
It is Wednesday.
Victory Wednesday and a non-victory Wednesday. We'll start the season on a non-victory Wednesday.
I just got one question.
9 inches.
Is anybody tired out there? We had so many people here starting before 3 a.m., arriving 2 a.m. to what was an absolute incredible scene. When I walked in around 2:45, 2:50, the place was already completely packed with hundreds of Padres fans who tuned in to listen and watch this game this morning.
Yeah, it was pretty bananas. The scene here was insane. We'll get into all of that. First of all, thank you guys for being here this morning and sticking around, watching the show live. Really appreciate it. I'm Woodsy. That's Ben Higgins. He's your friendly neighborhood sports anchor. And Paulie Reindl, who's our executive producer, imaging director, and amateur engineer most of the morning, trying to get some stuff figured out in here. I think we've got it all dialed. Now, back on the board this morning is one Adam Klug, who is our boss. Good morning, Adam. Say hello to everyone.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
We're doing great. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing excellent.
Good.
So be doing better if we had a Padres win.
Yeah, fair enough.
First pitch was 3:05. It was probably around 4:30 in the morning that I thought, I'm going to grab the equipment out of the car, the radio equipment. Not going to hit the air until about 7, but I'm going to start getting everything set up. We did not get everything officially done until about 6:55.
Yeah, it took a while.
It was awful. I don't even remember exactly what the issue was, but we had some technical issue. Like I said, 4:30, so about 2.5 hours before we actually were going to hit the air, 7 a.m. start time, and nothing was working. I was on the phone with engineers. I was having them drive down at 5:30 in the morning. It's the 6th inning. Now it's the 8th inning. Now it's the 9th inning.
We're getting close.
Oh, my God. Now Sammy's starting the post-game show. I'm like, we got to get this going. And it was like the commercial break before our show started that we got everything up and running.
It was an awesome day.
Awful.
I was exhausted after, but it was awesome.
Then we had to do it again the next day.
So cool that we had to do it again the next day. It was bananas, but well worth it, certainly.
And thank you to all the Tier 1s who came out and made that such a memorable experience.
I will say, I'm glad they're not playing overseas to start the season. That's just a nice, normal off-season and all that.
Exactly. But what a memorable day on our Ben and Woods wrap for the month of March. Definitely highlight of the month. All right, let's talk a little bit of college football quickly. The College Football Playoff Committee yesterday morning released their final bracket.
Lay it out for me. Let's get the whole thing.
All right,
Sports Radio 101. Lay it out for everybody.
If you missed it, obviously you probably were paying attention. But as expected, undefeated Oregon, of course, gets the number 1 seed overall in the tournament and a bye in the first round. Second seed is Georgia after they won the SEC championship game in overtime, beating Texas on Saturday.
Great game.
Boise State now becomes the 3rd seed, the Mountain West champion. They beat UNLV on Friday night. And then the 4th seed is Arizona State, the Big 12 champs. They finished with 6 straight wins and topped Iowa State in the Big 12 championship game. But it was really the at-larges where the kind of the drama and, everyone has something to complain about. It ended up as the 5 seed Texas after they lost the SEC championship. The 6th seed is going to be Penn State, and then your Notre Dame Fighting Irish dropped to the 7th seed.
Didn't bother me even a bit.
But you didn't care.
No, didn't care.
The 8th seed is Ohio State. A lot of people said, what a hard road, because Ohio State and Oregon would then have to potentially meet in the quarterfinals in the Rose Bowl for the 3rd time. But that is if Ohio State gets past Tennessee, which is another good team. They're the 9 seed. So that'll be Tennessee at Ohio State in one of the first-round games. The 10 seed is Indiana. They'll take on Notre Dame. That's an in-state game.
In-state game. Can't wait.
But they haven't played in 30 plus years, I think.
1989 or something.
It's been a really long time. So they'll go to South Bend, Indiana, one of the surprise teams of college football this year.
Should be a great matchup.
I think that's a really interesting matchup. The 11 seed, SMU, and that was the last at-large bid.
Yeah.
Where the debate was it going to be SMU after they lost in the ACC championship game, or would it be Alabama, which was the top, SEC team at the bottom of the at-large bracket that didn't get into the conference championship game?
Correct. Did not play the conference championship game. Look, I've never seen more grousing online than I have this weekend. Nick Saban was losing his mind. I think he forgets he's not the head coach there anymore. But I couldn't believe.
I'm not going to. So quit asking.
Nick, are you ever going to stop bitching about Alabama not being in the playoffs?
I'm not going to.
Yeah.
So quit asking.
All right. Well, I mean, I just keep seeing him railing about it, and you see the tweets come out over the weekend of like, well, there's no reason for Alabama to ever schedule a tough non-conference game. And I said, well, you already don't schedule tough non-conference games. What were the teams they played? Mercer?
The only decent team they played was Wisconsin. This non-conference schedule.
And the games that they lost...
Wisconsin wasn't that good this year.
The games that they lost, Ben, were in conference. And they lost to 2 6-6 teams. And kicked a field goal against one of them. You know what I mean? Like, didn't score a touchdown. And I understand, but you should not be in the playoffs with 3 losses. That's kind of how I look at it.
I don't necessarily agree with that. There's going to be a year, even if they stick with this 12-team playoff, that a 3-loss team is going to be one of the best 12 teams in the country, especially if they play in the SEC or the Big Ten. What we don't know, can we all acknowledge the SEC and the Big Ten are a good step ahead of every other conference at this point?
Yes.
What we don't know is how much ahead.
Right.
Are the top 4 teams better than the second place team in the ACC?
Yeah.
Or is it only the top 3? We don't really know the answer to that question.
Well, there's one way to stop all the hypotheticals. There's one way if you're Alabama. Because Alabama would beat SMU 8 out of 10 times. Well, beat Vandy. And then no one's upset if you're in it after you beat 2 500 teams. Your losses were horrendous. They were horrendous losses in your conference. You didn't schedule tough non-conference out of conference.
I don't think Vanderbilt was a horrendous team though this year. If you
They're
go
a 500 team.
If you go 6-6 and play in the SEC, and you're playing at home, you're a pretty decent team.
Nick Saban called Vanderbilt the easiest place to play on the planet. That was his quote. And now look how friggin' tough Vanderbilt was. Like, come on, man. I think they were dependent on their brand, and we're going to get in because of our brand, but they didn't. And I thought that was good. I think it's cool to see some new blood in there.
Oh, I don't mind. I think it was a very close call between those teams, but what you're really complaining about are the rules that were set up. People were going, Joel Klatt, like losing his mind about
Joel Klatt lost
the seedings.
His mind.
Well, the way the rules are set up, there was no other way you could seed those teams, essentially. Oregon 1, Georgia 2, Boise State 3, and Arizona State 4. I mean, there was no other way you could do it. You can not like the format, but you can't change the format the last day because you just, hey, you know what? This isn't working out the way we thought. We're just going to throw it out the window. You have to play with the format you announced at the start of the season. If you want to make changes next year, fine. But the format's the format, and you're seeing that there's some problems. Now, if you changed it and you just say, hey, we're just taking the 12 best, doesn't matter if you won your conference championships, that will also have consequences. Like, why do I even want to play in my conference championship?
Yeah, why play?
If I'm in no matter what, and I'm the 1 seed.
That's a step backwards.
That's how it used to be. I look at Boise State getting, not just in, they're getting a bye. That means a school like San Diego State in the Mountain West can take care of business and actually have a chance at winning a title.
Correct.
That was not the case as of a year ago.
It was not the case. It was a futile effort to even play football for a school like San Diego State or Boise State.
A lot of people spent a lot of time setting up this format knowing, we're going to have some issues one way or another.
Of course.
And we're going to try to minimize them by making the conference titles and the conference championship games worth something, like a chance at a bye. You don't get a bye unless you win your conference, so you better try to win your conference. If they throw that out the window, then the conference has become meaningless.
Just wait till one of these teams with a bye does the bit of, well, this isn't fair. They got to play an extra game. They're all ready to go. We've been sitting on our ass for a week. It's just like baseball. The Dodgers complaining that they had to sit a week. I mean, come on.
No perfect solutions here. But
handle your
Bama,
business.
You really don't have a ton of not a leg to stand on
Just
here.
handle your business.
All right, we'll come back. 2 hours remaining. Ben and Woods continuing next year on The Fan.
All right, we're halfway home on a Monday. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Appreciate you being here, however you choose to listen. Really, really appreciate it. We know you have many choices in the morning. Thanks for making Ben and Woods part of your morning routine. Right?
Right.
Yes.
I'm Woods. That's Paul. That's Ben.
I mean, like if it was me, I feel like I'd only have one choice.
Just sports radio.
Yes, I'd have to listen to us, being me.
I would have other
don't
choices.
Have a choice. You would.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have other choices.
Yeah.
I don't have really other choices.
You have other choices. You just choose not to take them.
I choose not to choose my other choices. Yeah.
Yes.
Stick with my one choice, which is right here.
What do you guys want to do?
Well, we've got a busy hour coming up, so why don't I let everybody know?
Why don't we take a breather, quick 10-minute nap, live on the air, and get reset for...
We have way too much to talk about to take any breathers this morning.
That's true.
We got the skipper, Mike Schilt, coming up at 9. At the bottom of the hour...
my dudes, how you doing?
Good. He's in Dallas,
He's
right?
in Dallas,
Okay.
yeah. At the bottom of the hour, we're going to wish a fond farewell to our good friend... Bernie Wilson.
What a bombshell that dropped over the weekend.
Announced his retirement from covering sports for the Associated Press after an illustrious career here in America's finest city.
I mean, Bernie is... I was texting with a buddy over the weekend. He said it's a bummer because Bernie is one of the last true journos out there. And he is the... If you've ever... you probably haven't if you're listening to the show, but if you've ever been on a Zoom call with... anybody in the Padres brass, whenever they go to Bernie Wilson, you sit up straight in your chair and you go, oh, God, oh, God.
You'll hear somebody from the PR team. All right, next up, Bernie Wilson, the Associated Press.
And you sit up and you go, all right, I'm listening because that dude just unloads. And it is so good every time. He has a way about him, and I would call it surly. I would say surly, salty, direct, no BS.
He's the most East Coast of the San Diego media.
I love Bernie.
Even though he's from here, went to school in Idaho.
It's funny because he always sounds pissed off, but he's like the nicest dude that you'll ever meet. And he just drops hammer on those guys. And it's so good, so fun to hear. I love him and respect him a ton. And he's not an early bird. I'm surprised he's getting up this early. I think he's been reinvigorated by the process of knowing he's done with all of this crap in like 2 weeks.
Yet I don't see Bernie spending a ton of time on the golf course going forward.
I'm going to ask him. Tony says have Bernie on the show. We are in 30 minutes. He's going to be on the program this morning.
Bernie's been he goes way back with Ben and Woods. He's obviously been around, doing this for over 40 years.
Yeah.
Way before Ben and Woods. But I mean, early on, remember the golden hour Fridays?
Oh my God.
The
golden hour.
That bonus hour that they started making us do.
Paul,
seems like every station we go to, it's hey, starting out as a 3-hour show. Hey, guess what? Now you're actually a 4-hour show.
The golden hour.
Every Friday.
What did we
weekend
do?
at Bernie's. It was weekend at Bernie's.
You're giving me PTSD again. I need a paper bag to breathe into.
The point is, we don't have them on a ton. We used to have them on every week. We have them on when necessary now.
What did the golden hour consist of again?
I think it was like a best of the week, or the most golden material. I don't know.
Sounds pretty good. We should maybe bring back the
golden hour on Fridays.
The golden hour shower with Ben and Woods.
We also have postponed our Take on Woods to this segment. So if you want to call in, we're going to play here in about 5 minutes. Chance to win our new prize this month. It's another getaway to the Westgate Las Vegas. But in this case, it's special. It is actually during the college basketball tournament in March, and part of their absolute complete experience with high-def TVs, luxury seating, table service, everything that goes along with it. It's nice to be set up during the month of March in Las Vegas, and this will be your opportunity to qualify to do so in our head-to-head musical trivia challenge, you against Woods. So call in now, 833-288-0973. If you were in last month, It's cleared. You have another chance to call in and qualify for the giveaway here.
Are you doing the thing that you have to dance around it because you can't call it what
Correct.
it is? Okay.
I'm not allowed to say the trademark
catchphrase.
It starts with M. It's MM or the initials.
Yeah, Manny Machado.
Yes.
It's it's the big game that you can't talk about it.
The basketball
thing
contest.
The 68 team basketball tournament.
Oh, I don't think you can say tournament.
I can say tournament.
No, you're going to get
tournament's
fined.
not.
Nope.
I don't think that's a trademarked word.
You're going to get fined.
The tournament.
Yep, there it is.
Lots of tournaments happen all over the place.
Yeah.
People can have
You
a
just
tournament.
cost Adam $2,000.
I don't think so.
Can
I
we
think I'm
say
allowed to
turn your
tournament.
mics off real quick?
I don't think so.
I don't think you can say that
really?
either.
I think they have also trademarked that phrase as well.
Wow. Okay.
The whole enchilada, I think you can say.
The big fajita, many would say.
While you call in, I see some people calling in right now. There are a bunch of other baseball moves that we haven't mentioned. We talked about Juan Soto, talked a little bit about Willie Adames going to the Giants for 7 years, $182 million. The Baltimore Orioles agreed to a 3-year, $49.5 million deal with Tyler O'Neill.
That's another guy that had been rumored to have some interest here.
He leaves Boston but stays in the AL East. The Mets have also signed Clay Holmes, 3-year, $38 million deal with the idea of converting
they're gonna convert
from a
him.
reliever to a starter. Another player who at least, some thoughts that the Padres would be interested in, Shane Bieber, returning to the Guardians on a 1-year, $14 million deal as he comes off of his Tommy John surgery now. He'll also have a player option, so I think it's like $26 million for the next year. So either he can hit free agency if he has a big year, or if he needs like that 2 years to get going, kind of a 2-year, $40 million deal where he can kind of get back to being Shane Bieber but staying in Cleveland where he's comfortable. And then the Dodgers made a move last night. It came right
surprising.
It came right before the Juan Soto signing, which made me leave. Okay, they're not getting Juan Soto once they signed an outfielder, but they agreed to a 1-year, $17 million deal with Michael Conforto, not a name that had created a lot of buzz.
Not even a little.
This offseason. In fact, I don't think I knew that he was a free agent at all.
I think I did either. I thought he was still a Giant.
Which terrifies me, though, that he is going to be one of those 1-year Teoscar Hernandez, have a huge season. And I did see them point out up in L.A. He has very strong splits against righties. Tommy Edman is very good against lefties. They could actually be kind of in a platoon situation in the outfield, with Edman also being that super utility player at the same time for the Dodgers. Now, what does this mean in their pursuit of Teoscar Hernandez? I think there's still a place for him.
Yes.
I don't think they're going to stop pursuing Teoscar. And then a Blake Trinan deal last night as well. I didn't see any numbers on that one, but he will return to the Dodgers bullpen as well. So they were always on the outskirts of the Juan Soto deal. They couldn't really do anything just in case Juan Soto said, "Oh yeah, we'll take your $600 million." No,
right.
he wasn't going to do that. So now they can open up their pocketbooks again and start going after other players as well as the ones that they have signed already, including Blake Snell.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, and again, guys are coming off the board at a pretty decent rate as far as the offseason goes right now. And really the only one in there that made me wrinkle my nose was the Gary Sanchez deal to the Orioles. I thought, man, honestly, losing Higgy, it sucks. And but Gary's familiar, a lot of familiarity there. He's got some slug, can hit the ball out of the ballpark. Hits Blake Snell pretty well, who is somebody that he's going to be facing a lot. And I just thought, man, all right, what's next for the San Diego Padres? Danny Jansen came off the board, didn't do much for me, but actually was pretty good catcher. So it just kind of begs the question of what's going to happen behind the dish for the San Diego Padres. Is it going to be Luis Campusano getting yet another shot to be the starter and a guy that's going to hold that position?
I keep hearing that he's like the subject of a bunch of trade rumors, but if you trade him, what do you have left? Brett Sullivan and Brandon Valenzuela, who is Rule 5 eligible and might be stolen from you this week in the Rule 5 draft, which would leave you even thinner at the catching
Valenzuela
core. Yeah, he is not protected in the Rule 5 draft. And then, of course, there's Ethan Salas, but you don't want to be in a situation where you're forced to play Ethan Salas before he's ready if he's not ready. So the Padres definitely have some issues at catcher that they're going to have to solve here over the next couple of months.
Trinan got 2 years, $22 million. Feels like
that feels low.
Absolute steal.
That feels low. He was the nastiest relief pitcher in baseball this October, correct?
Yeah. I mean, he was filthy.
Even nastier than Tanner Scott. He's going to get way more than that.
Yes. He's a little older, a little more long in the tooth, but it's a very good deal for the Dodgers. Well, it's nice that something broke their way finally, and they got a good deal on a guy.
And then they did also announce last night that Dave Parker, the Cobra, and Dick Allen voted into the Baseball Hall of Fame by the 16-person Classic Era Committee. Among those falling short, Steve Garvey and Louis Tiant did not make it in the Classic Era Committee vote. Good for Dave Parker.
Love
what
it, man.
Cool nickname, the Cobra.
The best nickname.
And Dick Allen, who I was a little too young to ever get to see play, but people who are old school baseball guys always rave about Dick Allen, like underrated
power and
slugger from that era
100%.
of the 60s and early 70s.
But Dave Parker getting in made my day. He's very ill, and the fact that he gets to get in and know that he got in and experience
Dick Allen
it.
unfortunately passed away like 4 years ago, so his family appreciated, but he won't be there for the ceremonies this summer. Still have the regular vote, which will be announced coming up in January.
Yep.
All right, it is time to play our game. Let's get to a little Take on Woods. Take on Woods, brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. It only takes 15 minutes. You don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. And let's say hello to Charlie. Charlie, are you there? Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, you're our contestant today for Take on Woods, 5 questions. You against Woods in our musical trivia contest. And if you can beat or tie him, we'll put you into the drawing for the 2-night stay at the Westgate Las Vegas in March. Plus 2 tickets to Hoops Central is what they're calling it. You can check out the $70 million in room renovations at the Westgate and experience the, I'm just going to say, the craziness of March, as only the Westgate can serve it up to you with HD screens, luxury seating, table service, and access to all the best gaming action in a smoke-free environment. So for tickets, go to westgateresorts.com. Give you the advantage by letting you pick our category today. We still have prog rock, 5 progressive rock bands, all the Who's in Whoville. Those are 5 answers that start with the word Who's. And our new category, Party of One, 5 song titles that include the word lonely. So prog rock, all the Who's in Whoville, or Party of One, Charlie?
Let's do Party of One.
Party of One. All right, the new category again. 5 song titles, all include the word lonely. You get your 60 seconds. You can pass if you don't know one. We'll come back to it. First question's the 2-second song. Remember, you need to identify both the title and the artist to score the point there. You ready to play, Charlie?
Yeah.
All right, Paul, you good to go?
I'm ready.
All right, the category again, Party of One. The word is lonely that we're looking for in all these answers. 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Charlie. Let's take on Woods.
Pass.
British progressive rockers Yes had their only #1 hit in the United States with which 1983 song?
Pass.
It was 20 years ago today is the first line of which Beatles song that's also an album name and a movie title for the group?
Oh, God. Pass.
The Motels had 2 top hits in the 1980s, Suddenly Last Summer, and which song that reached #9 in 1982?
Is it called Only the Lonely?
Correct. Sting says he based which 1978 song for the Police on the Bob Marley song, No Woman, No Cry?
Pass.
Go back to our 2-second song.
Lonely Boy?
Incorrect. British progressive rockers Yes had their only #1 hit in the United States with which 1980. And we are out of time. The 2-second song was Lonely as the Night by Billy Squier. Owner of a Lonely Heart by Yes. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles. You got Only the Lonely. So Lonely by the Police. I think you're going to lose this one to Woodsy, but Charlie's score is locked in. Woods does not get the category. I think he'll figure it out, though. All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Woods, your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck. Let's take on Charlie.
Lonely as the Night, Billy Squier.
Correct. British progressive rockers Yes had their only number one hit in the United States.
Owner of a Lonely Heart.
Correct. It was 20 years ago today is the first line of which Beatles song that's also an album name and movie title for the group.
Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Correct. The Motels had two top
Only the
correct.
Lonely.
Sting says he based which 1978 hit for the Police on the Bob Marley song No Woman, No Cry.
So Lonely.
Correct. 5 for 5. Very quick.
It's been a while.
Very well done, and a 5-1 win for Woodsy in the category Party of One.
I am very impressed with myself because I have vomit like bubbling up in my stomach. I feel like I just got like a stomach bug. I feel like I'm going to throw up at any second. And to get 5 for 5, I'm feeling very good.
What would you do if you had to throw up right now? Would you run to the bathroom? Would you just sit right there and let it fly?
If I could control it, I would try to get to the bathroom. Paulie, slide that garbage can over here just in case.
You actually got one right around the corner there on the outside, I think. Yeah. I can see the edge. Just grab it.
Why don't we take a break and then, let nature take its course?
I don't want you to throw up in here.
I feel
I prefer you don't.
Oh, really?
Well, when one person throws up, then it makes everyone else want to throw up because of the smell.
I'll tell you how I feel.
Stuff.
I feel like I ate a giant breakfast burrito. And it's sitting in my stomach, but I didn't. I have only had a tangerine this morning. That's it.
Wow.
I'll try to get through it. Should I just go pull trigger?
If you want, just not in here. How about that? And we'll come back and we'll talk about the Aztecs basketball win. Could be moving up in the rankings again later this morning. A little San Diego State hoops coming up next after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Oh, excuse me. I know you're talking about it.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else. Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
All right, to be clinical, Woods is dealing with a bout of nausea at the moment.
Poor guy.
To be childish, we could say he's got a rumbly tummy right now, and he is currently in the facilities, which I could hear him. Here he was returning now. Hopefully, not too much worse for the wear. He's soldiering on though this morning.
How we doing, big guy?
Not great, Bob.
Sorry, buddy.
You don't look good.
Something did not agree with me.
Alabama fans don't agree with you, but
that's true.
You didn't eat them, so.
Man, feel like I'm.
You mean okay?
I think so. I got it all up. I think that was not pleasant.
Lisa wants to know: did Adam make omelets? No, that was JR who made the omelets.
Yep. Yeah. Don't talk about food though. If
Sorry.
Ever again. You were talking about your weight loss, and you were talking about all the beef,
the vegetables,
the
and
beef
stuff.
and the chicken.
You know what? I'll talk about the Aztecs. That can't turn your stomach, right?
No,
well, I mean,
not the basketball
San Diego
team.
State football easily could, but basketball should be a very pleasing, soothing subject right now as they continue to win and for the most part look good. Now, there was a few nervous moments on Saturday night. Crosstown rivalry against USD, a team that was well, near the bottom of the metrics. This was essentially a no-win game for San Diego State to play. It's a good game in terms of being a nice neighbor and scheduling a team that only has to drive a few miles to get a road game in and get a payday for USD. San Diego State gets a full Viejas Arena, but you're also getting a team that has got some extra motivation, got, just the rivalry of being so close. You're going to get their best. And for a little over a half, USD was hanging toe-to-toe with San Diego State, down just a couple at the half and then up a couple of points early in the second half, and things were starting to get a little worrisome for the Aztecs, and then they were able to make things right and pull away for I think a 17-point win, 74-57 on Saturday night. But what was interesting about the game on Saturday is that Magoon Guath, who had the huge night on Wednesday, we talked about it, Fresno State, the breakout performance, he has arrived on the college basketball scene.
Didn't last long.
25 points, 10 rebounds. It's a complete no-show for the game on Saturday. Not literally. He played 12 minutes, did not score any points, but was essentially a non-factor to the point where, I was worried that did he suffer an injury? No, Brian Dutcher simply said actually thinks he worked too hard this week, did some extra workouts and just was tired and didn't have his legs and energy and just decided he was better off playing some of the other players. And he said that's something you learn as a freshman, how to best prepare yourself for game day, and he probably did too much, which, good
learning lesson.
Working well. At least it didn't cost the team a loss, but get 0 points from him, only 2 from B.J. Davis.
I don't know if did he contribute defensively? Was he blocking shots? Because I missed this game entirely, man. I was at the show. Yeah.
Not really. He was. I kept looking for him. Like, where did he go? He's
cute thing was though, Saturday morning when my kids woke me up, Bo came in and he's like, Aztecs won. It was really, really sweet. I guess they watched the game, so I missed it entirely. So he didn't just wasn't
kind of a non-factor.
Wasn't his night.
Farrell Compton played well off the bench.
Isn't that funny, man?
12.
Isn't that funny where you hear it all the time? You hear it in baseball all the time. You're doing too much. Mookie Betts doing too much. Mookie, you don't need to take 300 swings off of a tee. You're Mookie Betts. Just remember that you're Mookie Betts, and you can go out and be Mookie Betts again. And that's exactly what he did. You can actually work too much.
And the great thing about the San Diego State basketball team this season, though, is you just never know who is going to step up. I mean, Nick Boyd had a good game, but you mentioned Farrell Compton. The Aztecs got 29 points in the bench trio of Farrell Compton, Taj DeGorville, and Miles Heide, who had really had a rough start to the season over the first, 7 games. Looked just like he had taken a step backwards from the first year, but he was in there, rebounds, some big baskets, was getting a lot of high fives from his teammates. Finally had a really good game when they needed it the most. When the other big guys didn't step up, he stepped up with some excellent play for San Diego State, and I think really made a huge difference in the Aztecs pulling out the 74-57 win. Congratulations to Coach Brian Dutcher, who improves to 112 in his career at Viejas Arena. Wow. His 100th
unbelievable
home win already. I mean, that is an insane home record. The 24th ranked Aztecs, will find out if they move up at all in the AP Top 25 at the end of the show today, usually right around 10 o'clock. They will release a new set of rankings. There were some teams in front of them that did lose this week, so you'd imagine there's some room to move up a couple of spots, but we'll find out a little bit later this morning.
Kansas has not played well.
Kansas had a rough week. They lost really twice as the number 1 team this week to Creighton and then again to Missouri yesterday. Just had one of those weeks. Or, it's college basketball, and even veteran teams, college students have bad weeks. Whatever, they got finals, they got other things going on. Even at Kansas, distractions, and they just had Dickinson look like he was not in it at all for Kansas this week. It just was a bad week. Will they be back in the NCAA tournament?
Though, when you're looking at San Diego State beating them earlier in the year?
Yes, that will help with the metrics. Now, Oregon lost their first game to UCLA at home, so that's going to hurt. The problem with Creighton is they lost one of their best players. Pop Isaacs is out for the season, so that's going to hurt them going forward. It's a work in progress, all the metrics.
Do they wait Do they weight that? Like when we beat Creighton, they were healthy, and then they were healthy, and they beat this
team. In the
team.
NCAA tournament committee, when there's people are talking, they can look at it and say, well, yeah, they beat them. They had the good players, then they didn't.
Yeah.
They'll see at the time the game was played.
At the time the game was played,
top 25
top 25 team. They've handled them.
And
no
things
problem.
like the net ranking and the Ken Palm,
They
it's
don't
not
care.
really going to. It's just going to be on the numbers of the team and who they are. So,
well, I mean, the way this team's playing, Benny, you'd be surprised if they weren't in the tournament, honestly, and the way that they're handling business right now. Who's next for them?
So California Baptist on Wednesday night at Viejas Arena, and then they have a 10-day holiday break. So should be able to take care of that one at home. And then it's the game in San Jose against Cal, and then it's all conference play the rest of the way. The problem is the Mountain West has only been so-so in non-conference, which means losses in the conference are going to hurt you this year. So you have to have a good conference record as well to make sure you make the tournament. All right, that's a quick college basketball update. When we come back, we will be joined by our retiring friend, Bernie Wilson. Made the announcement this weekend that he is stepping down. How many years has he been on the job? I mean,
over 40.
Ever since I've been doing this, so he was already well entrenched. 40 years.
He started when you were 9.
Crazy.
Yes, 9.
He's calling it a career. We will say congratulations to Bernie and chat with him next here with Ben Woods on 97.3 The Fan. feel with Bernie Wilson's imminent retirement, and he is standing by to join us after covering the San Diego sports scene for 4+ decades. There's kind of a void left. Who is going to be that cynical
Don't look at me.
reporter who's going to ask the tough questions?
I've been doing it for 7 years. I'm ready to walk, so.
It's going to have to be me, isn't it?
Can you imagine?
I'm going to have to step in
to replace Bern
and be the guy to replace Bernie at the press conferences.
It's a good one.
The ones who make the executives cringe with the tough questions.
Yeah.
Do you think I have it in me?
No, absolutely.
I don't.
Nope.
Well, maybe Bernie can give me a lesson.
Yeah,
or two.
give a couple pointers.
He's standing by. We will talk to Bernie Wilson of the Associated Press right after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Got a 2-vehicle accident clearing from the Genesee Avenue off-ramp, southbound 5. Just watch out for a little activity there. Also, northbound 15, stalled car partially blocking the El Norte Parkway off-ramp. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Well, first of all, let me just offer my heartfelt and sincere congratulations to Bernie Wilson, who made it official over the weekend that he is announcing his retirement. One of the longest tenured reporters here in San Diego. Bernie, good morning to you. Welcome to Ben and Woods. It's been a while. How are you doing, man?
Good morning, muchachos. I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
You sound so young and spry right now, and my sense is that
much too young to retire.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're full of that because you usually would come on late because you don't get up early. But my theory is that you only have a couple more weeks of this garbage to do, and then you're home free.
You got it, Wood. You know what? I have vim. You know what I'm doing right now? I'm getting ready to sign up for Medicare Part B.
Ooh, how
so
fun!
that I can swing into the AP retiree medical plan. I'm 66. The only reason I've stayed feeling young is, hanging out with guys like you, seeing Pearl Jam at least twice a year.
Yes.
Now I'm going to hopefully see them more, so they better stay active. I saw the Stones this year. You make your own fun. And, our kids are now adults, but they help keep me young. And, it's sad that it's just a job that beats the living hell out of you.
Yeah.
What about bingo at Leisure Village? You don't have that?
That is a great question, man. Get my, my roughage. I'm not a bingo guy. We used to have to work bingo when our kids were at Catholic school. That was part of your penance. You had to. I'm not going to be one of those people that shows up with 20 of those marker things for their bingo cards. Not to rip them. That's some people's life. But, bros, I got a pile of 2x4s out on my patio. I got stuff to do. And, I will not be hurting for things to do. And bingo will not be one.
They're called daubers. Daubers.
Daubers.
Bingo daubers.
Bingo daubers.
See, now, how do you know that, Ben?
He looked it up just now. He looked it up.
Thought I knew it. I confirmed it, though. Yeah, bingo dauber.
Okay. No, that's cool.
It's a perfect gift for you right now in retirement.
Let me ask you this, Bern. So I saw the tweet come through on Friday night, and I was like, wait, what? So you announced it on Twitter. You were at the Jay Paris happy hour.
By the way, with a picture.
Yeah, with a picture of A.J. Preller and Hacksaw, which I thought was just the perfect way to do it. How was the happy hour, number one?
Well, first of all, the happy hour was awesome. Thanks for asking. So, and the reason I wasn't going to say anything until after the Holiday Bowl, which, by the way, Ben and his great wife Shell are ecstatic because it's going to be the Wazoo Cougars.
Yep.
But I wasn't going to say anything. But then I saw Preller, and I had to get a picture with Preller and Hacksaw. AJ and I have had a somewhat tumultuous relationship. He's a good guy, though. And he was the first guy I told up at the Leucadian, the legendary Leucadian. He was over in the corner, like he always. Props to the man for showing up.
Yeah.
So many people get invited and so many people don't bother, but Preller is pretty much a regular. There are some years where it conflicts too much with the winter meetings, not this year. So I went over, told him the great news that he's not going to have to put up with my BS anymore, and he was about ready to go and out in the parking lot, and Hacksaw was there, so I figured why not announce it with a selfie with, two San Diego sports icons, A.J. Preller and Hacksaw Hamilton. And so off we go.
What's been your when you look back on your career, I mean, I look back at what we've done here in the last just 7 years, coming up on 7 years, and I have so many fond memories. I have so many bad memories too, but mostly fond memories and things I'm proud of that we've done. When you look back on your career, give me a couple things that jump off the page, and you can step back now and look and go, God, that was actually pretty badass that I got to do that or cover that or break this story or whatever it was.
The most badass thing I've ever gotten to do, bros, was hoist the America's Cup for about 5 or 10 seconds without having to pay a penny to do it. Whereas titans of industry and commerce have spent hundreds of millions over the last 170-some years trying and failing. It was at the when Oracle won it in Valencia, Spain in 2010. My bro, Captain Troy Sears from here in San Diego, who runs Next Level Sailing, was over there as a chase boat driver, and he summoned me up to the crew party. The media party was down on the ground floor. He whisked me up to the crew party up on the top floor and said, go get your picture taken with the cup. And I said, I really shouldn't. I'm not part of the team. And he said, do it or you'll regret it. So I stood in line. My turn came, grabbed it, held it over my head. It's heavier than it looks. Got my picture taken. And I'm glad I did, because, like I said, people have paid hundreds of millions to try to do it and have failed, and I did have to pay a penny. And then not long after, the party got so rowdy that Larry Ellison himself ordered it be whisked off to his 451-foot super yacht, moored just off the waterfront there. And so that was my one shot at glory, and I took it.
It's truly one of the great, I think, contrasts to know that Bernie Wilson, El Cajon's everyman,
yes,
who is, as comfortable at the beef and bun as anyone, is also one of the leading yachting reporters.
Loves it so much.
For decades. Yachting, the sport of the ultra elite rich.
Yeah, wait, hang on.
And it's Bernie Wilson who covers this.
Bernie, I'm pretty freaking sure I've sat with you and you've complained about baseball players' salaries.
Like the sport is way too fancy for even me.
Yeah, even Ben is like, geez, that's very highfalutin.
Well, here's the thing, guys. When you work for AP, you cover everything. Okay, when I moved from L.A., gave up Wayne Gretzky and the Kings to come down here to God's country, I inherited the America's Cup, and the first one drove me absolutely nuts. But, when one Australia sank during the 1995 Challenger trials, it changed everything, because it just became a story about, whatever, man versus nature, human element, stuff happening, and you just cover it as a news event. And plus, the other thing is you can't sail at night, which means you're at the bar. Rich people drink expensive booze, throw great parties, and they invite the media.
Yeah, that's true.
The worst thing about the day the Kiwis crushed Dennis Conner off Point Loma in May of 1995 was the parties went away. I mean, I got to go take my wife to 2 America's Cup balls, 1 Louis Vuitton Cup party. I got to expense a tuxedo twice.
Wow.
Tell me on an AP expense account, tuxedo from the tuck shop in La Mesa. I got to take her to some of the greatest parties that I would never get into if I weren't working for AP.
That's awesome.
Or covering the Cup. And the party I missed, I was at the Winter Olympics in '92.
Wow. And
the Louis Vuitton Cup party was in the hangar deck of the Kitty Hawk.
That's unbelievable.
I mean, apparently it was when you got connections with Louis Vuitton and Moet, those things speak. And so party at Kitty Hawk in '92 and '95, it was at Miramar when Top Gun was still there. And it's just fantastic.
I love that all your favorite memories are like, all the free booze I got at Louis Vuitton parties, and that's your favorite memories, and I love that, man. Now, I was going to ask you this, too, because I've often said, man, the people on the beat, I have such a tremendous amount of respect for. With my 2 kids, and let's be honest, who I'm married to, Bernie, there's no way I could make it down there for 81 games. There's just no chance. And I don't know that I'd want to. I love baseball more than anything. I never miss a pitch. But making it down there day after day, grinding that out, I know there will be a time next year where it will hit you a little bit where you're like, ooh, I'm not down there. Do you think you'll miss that daily grind of going to the ballpark?
Absolutely not, my bro. Now, I might do some freelancing. I mean, AP is cutting 8% of its workforce through these buyouts. I'm not the only one going. There's a bunch of us. This was the easiest exit for me. We all wonder when the last day is going to be. We wonder if we get a pick it. Well, you take the parachute when the plane's going down.
Yeah, 100%.
So I took the parachute.
Good for you.
But I might do some freelancing. The great thing, this is almost as good as an America's Cup party, is I'll get my lifetime baseball writer's card.
Wow.
So I can go down there whenever I want, but I can also leave whenever I want. I love being at the ballpark, but I can't handle the noise, dodging foul balls, walk-off home runs, games changing dramatically in the sixth inning. It's great for the fans, but it's hell for a reporter.
That makes sense.
And our software isn't exactly the most user-friendly. So I will miss certain elements of it, but other things I absolutely will not miss. I don't like having my ears blown off every night, but that's in every sport. I mean, that's at Viejas Arena,
Yeah.
at Lion Tree. I mean, Woods, you'll appreciate this. I saw 3 of the loudest bands in history: Led Zeppelin, The Who, and a surprise entrant, Midnight Oil. When you're in the 10th row at a Midnight Oil concert, your ears are blown to hell. But I walked out of Petco Park every night feeling like I had seen one of those 3 bands because they play the music so loud.
That's amazing.
This goes back to the Qualcomm days when they did the remodel. They put Spanos moved over to the other side. I shouldn't say that name, but they put the control booth right next to the press box, moved the press box down. We told Charles Steinberg, the Padres VP of everything, who said, "Hey, this is really loud here now." And he goes, "We know. We did tests on the noise level in the entire stadium. The press box is the loudest part in the stadium." It's like, thanks a lot, asshole. Pardon my French, but so I've had my ears blown off since the 1990s, and I will not miss that.
Dodger Stadium is worse, by the way. It is so loud there. Oh my God!
I've covered a couple games there in recent years. When you can't talk to the guy sitting next to you, you know that it's time to go.
All right, Bernie, what's the last official event? Holiday Bowl, San Diego State ranked, Utah State, do you know for sure?
It's going to be probably back-to-back. Holiday Bowl, your beloved Cougars. I covered the Cougars way back in the 80s, by the way. And then if the Techs don't blow it between now and then, it'll be the Techs versus Utah State. And I'll get my final Steve Fisher report in. I'm not big on selfies, but I want to get one with Fish.
Got to.
Because the man is so legendary. Listen to some Bro Hymn by the great young student musicians out there, and then walk away.
Man, I'm happy for you, dude. I think about it every day. I really do. And I'm only 49, so I've got a few years left. But I do think about what it's going to be like to leave it all behind. And saw that picture this weekend. I texted Paulie immediately. I said, get him on the show Monday. And I did not want to wait a single day. We love you, man. We're happy for you.
Bernie, it's been a pleasure, man.
It has.
Over the
Thanks,
years,
guys.
Just your contributions to this show, me in particular,
the media,
over the
all
years.
of it.
You have been so kind with your time, and you're never short on stories.
Never.
And it's been a blast.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate the kind words, and just pass it forward. You guys are all good dudes, and the media business is brutal. I don't need to tell you guys in radio, but it's shrinking, it's dying. We got to be kind to each other, and I don't know that there's going to be anybody left to turn out the lights, but you got to have fun while it lasts.
There he is, the great Bernie Wilson.
Bernie Wilson. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Great talking to you.
Talk to you soon.
Saying goodbye after 40-plus years with the Associated Press.
It makes me sad a little bit.
Padres, Chargers, Aztecs, America's Cup.
Oh, you've seen it all in this town.
Doesn't have much of a filter, but that's fine.
I love that about him. I really, really do.
It's incredible.
I love it. Yeah, I'm so glad we got to catch up with Bern, man. I love that his favorite bits were all the sailing parties that he got to go to. Incredible.
The way you described it, I get it.
I kind of do too, and most of the time they're like, "Hey, Woodsy, there's a media party." I'm like, "I'll pass, 100%." But that seems like a little bit upper echelon.
Yeah,
I would love to.
I mean, the price tag just to get into those America's Cup, it starts to run into the billions.
Benny, I just found out, we just found out from Bernie that he was able to expense a tuxedo. What are the chances they'll let you expense a tuxedo for spring training and you do all your interview, at least one day, in a tuxedo?
I already have a tuxedo.
You have a tuxedo?
Yeah, from our friends at JNR. I've got my tuxedo ready. We don't remember you made me do it a whole week in a tuxedo.
I did it. That was before I got there.
That was before
I got there.
Oh,
that
wow.
was one of yours and the other guy's brilliant bits.
Well, I did a whole week in a tuxedo. I'm not really eager to do it again, actually.
It would be funny, you in a tuxedo at spring training. It would get eyeballs, right?
It's true.
And now you're on. See, that bit didn't make sense then because you weren't on camera.
Just a way for Ben to get a free suit.
Yeah, it's a way for Ben to get a free suit. And then you're like, hey, no, guys, he's in a tuxedo. You can't see it, but believe me, it's hysterical.
I haven't had a reason to wear it in a couple of years. I don't know. After SDFatLoss.com, it might be hanging a little loose at this point. I may need to get it tailored.
Like most of your clothes
That's
are
good
hanging
point.
a little loose at this point. Loose skin.
All right, we have made it to 9 o'clock. The skipper, Mike Schilt.
Oh, boy.
Going to join us from Dallas, Texas in the MLB winter meetings. First chance to talk to Mike Schilt in a little bit, see what the Padres have cooking at the moment. Coming up next here with Ben Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. MLB winter meeting, certainly the premier off-season event.
Oh, yeah.
You never know how much activity is actually going on, but it's not just the media stuff and the rumors and the trades and the signings, but it's also like the biggest off-season hiring event. People go, bring resumes, job interviews to fill positions in organizations. There's a lot more that goes on that we don't report on, really.
We saw a lot of that when we were there. Guys walking through the lobby, dressed to the nines with their little folios under their arm, just dishing out resumes and CVs, as we used to call them in the biz.
Who knows?
I think somebody dropped off a resume with John Boy. Jake and John Boy were with us.
With
and
us.
Like, hey, by the way, if you could just take a look at this.
Yeah, man. Shoot your shot, I guess.
And I don't know how many coaches are out of a job and might be approaching our next guest going, hey, if you have an opening here, and they just announced their staff, so I don't think they have any big league openings, but you never know when you might need someone in the future. Joined right now by the manager of the San Diego Padres, Mike Shildt, is back with us here live from the winter meetings in Dallas. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Doing well. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you.
So what do you do? I know there's some media obligations, but what do you generally do as a manager during baseball's winter meetings?
It's a little bit of a lighter lift for the managers, at least for me, historically. And, this is way more of a front office opportunity. These guys they're cranking it out. I get to be in the room and have the privilege of watching how the AJ and his group works. But, for me, it's interviews like this. I've got some national stuff later, and then I'm going to be networked tomorrow. And we will have a managers meetings with all the 30 managers and the commissioner's office for an hour on Wednesday. There's an affiliate dinner, which is tomorrow night. But otherwise, for me, it's not a lot of heavy lifting, more being in the room and being available to share my thoughts on the club. But it's a little bit more just media responsibility for me.
Well, hopefully, Skip, at that managers meeting, they're not pitching you guys on the golden batter, because that was one that we had some fun with last week. And of course, it begs the question. Because they've done some stuff. They've done some stuff every year. You got to get used to some new rule changes, and we've talked about it with you, a bunch. And every year it seems there's a new thing. Now, this one didn't get much. It didn't get much traction after people kind of ripped it. But I was sitting there thinking, if I'm Shilty, do you just go with the hot hand? Like, if it's the Dodgers, you go with Ohtani. But if it's Shilty, you're like, man, he's swinging it good. Tatis is actually swinging it good. Crony's locked in, whatever. That would be a tough decision for you.
It would. I spent a lot of energy on it because I don't think it's going to come close to fruition. But I did think about it. I'm like, okay, this is an interesting concept. And I thought about it. You got a real chance to. I mean, for me, it would be clearly like matchup related.
Yeah.
Righty lefty. A little bit of history coupled with a little bit of, hey, this guy's ball moves this way. This guy's swing path is suited for this guy. So that'd be how I would approach it. But I got to tell you, man, you got to look at. You hit Manny, great. You got Manny Machado hitting. That's fantastic. That's a win. Then you look over. There's Toddy. There's Louie. Okay. There's Bogey. There's Crony. Like,
how are they feeling? How are they feeling?
Yeah, right. So it's I think the concept is interesting to float out, but not very applicable, thankfully.
Just another opportunity for managers to make everybody mad at them.
Yes, exactly.
Sounds like a nightmare, actually.
And the fans, too. Imagine.
Fans,
how do you go with
players,
him? Right.
Everybody's going to hate you. You just have to make this.
Yeah.
I didn't make the rule up. They're making me use this. Now, speaking of your coaches, I know it was really important to you to get your staff back, and that was announced on Friday, that everyone pretty much returning largely intact in the same roles. I did notice that Brian Esposito is now officially the bench coach. Does that change anything, or are you kind of operating everything pretty much just as it was last season, or do you have some small tweaks that you kind of have in mind?
I think, first of all, good for Espo. He's got elevated to a job that effectively was taking the lion's share of that, traditional role anyway. Just more of official. Relative to there's always going to be some tweaks. The good news is a couple things. Big picture, we have our staff back. It's a really, really, really good staff. A lot of really good baseball guys, connected well with their players, did just a tremendous job. So having the group back and moving forward together and creating that continuity and synergy with our players is only a benefit that I'm really excited about on a lot of levels, and a bunch of good guys too that I really just enjoy and appreciate, doing this journey with. Yeah, some tweaks. I mean, you're always going to look up and go, okay, we did our internal review of the season. Let's talk about what we could do a little different, a little better, how we can use our resources, how we could be more efficient, what these processes look like. So we've been in the process of, going through, okay, our pregame stuff, our meetings, our, review process, our preparation, and we're still going through it quite candidly. But good news is you used a great word in tweaks. We're just tweaking it and modifying a little bit, but there's not an overhaul to any of it. It's just looking at a way to get it a little better.
Talking to the skipper, Mike Schild, here on Ben and Woods this morning. And I, just personally, Skip, after getting to interview him a bunch, talk to him a bunch, catch up with him in the clubhouse a bunch, I was pretty bummed to see Higgy go to the Rangers. I certainly understand it for him, would never deny somebody getting an opportunity to make some money, and go to an organization with good people in it as well. And but for you, what could you say about Kyle Higashioka? And then conversely, like, what are your plans right now for the catching position? I know it's early.
Yeah, we're going to miss Higgy. I mean, listen, there's a guy that, we all know it. He moved our needle, right? He was a part of our fabric that helped us win games. That took the division down to the wire, and then allowed us to go into the playoffs and be productive. And he was a big part of that. And in talking to him, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, we're creating and still have a really family-oriented, clubhouse and group along with the staff. This is a very tight group that's continuing to get closer and tighter. But sometimes you got to be reminded that this is as familiar as you want to continue to make this, and we are, and how important that is to our success, which it is. Sometimes the reality of the business slaps you in the face. And, it happened in Higgy's case. I mean, listen, can't fault him at all. He's the guy that's been in the league for a while and worked hard to get the big leagues. Took him a while to get there, and he's getting a real bite at the apple. And that's a big part of what I want to help these guys be able to do is two things: win games and make sure they can have success so they can take care of their families, because their windows are small in their careers. And so you look up and a guy's 34 years old and he gets a chance to make some real life-changing, altering money. And he begrudgingly, I say that for him. That might not be fair, but in conversations with him, and I know how much he enjoyed the clubhouse and San Diego and the fans and just Petco and everything that comes with being a Padre. But he made a decision that he needed to make that we respect for his family.
And I know, talking to people in your organization, how high everybody is on Ethan Salas, but still very young. You got a chance to see him a little bit in the minors, I think, in 2023, and then spring training again last year. What are your thoughts on that young kid, and like how fast can a catcher really develop given the immense responsibilities that they face on the major league level?
Yeah, we got a limited exposure with Ethan. Clearly, really, what comes to me about Ethan, his skill set's clear. He's got real ability. That's obvious. The maturity with him is what really is impressive to me. That he's really grounded, really mature. He's one of these young people. And again, he's 18 years old, and sometimes I'm in the room and I'm talking to him like, hey, who's the adult here? Just got a real mature way about him. But that being said, time frame, it's hard to say. I haven't seen him enough to really weigh in on that. I know our club has got an opinion about it, and I trust them. To your point also, though, is it's a different position. It's a different, and we really ask a lot, rightfully so. The game asks a lot for the catching position. And so, his talent is going to get him there pretty quickly. From all reports, now it's a matter of the nuances and the things that we want that are required out of that position to keep us in a position where we're competing, at the highest level in our industry.
Talking to Mike Schilt here on Ben and Woods this morning, and I know you. I liked your appearance that you did last week with AJ Pierzynski and those guys, and we played some of that audio the next day. And talking about AJ Preller and the things he's got up his sleeves, so to speak, and
where else?
No. And let's see, up his sleeves, down his legs,
both sleeves,
down his pants, down his pants. Yeah, all of it. He's got tricks everywhere. But I know. Listen, I think every GM out there, they're looking for arms. They're looking for guys that can round out the bullpen. For you as the skipper, Christmas is coming up. You can ask AJ Preller for a couple of things. What are you looking for when you look at your team as it stands today? And I know it's not even close to being done, but what are you looking for as the skipper?
Yeah, you just want to, and again, AJ, I trust him. So it's, I don't really spend a lot of time thinking about it, quite candidly. I mean, I think about our team. We're spending a lot of time with our staff and our players, clearly allowing them to enjoy the off season, but also making sure that we have, real synergy with our group, to have a winning off season, which I feel like we're in a really good position with all our guys and they're bought in. And I say all that really is not a way to escape the answer, but, just where my attention's focused on. And, clearly we have some areas that we'd like to shore the club up. From my seat, what you really want and what you get aren't entirely the same thing sometimes. And that's not my job. My job is to manage the club. But, we have a really good nucleus. We've built a lot of really positive things that we feel we know are confident and sustainable. We know the club's never going to look the exact same from the previous year. We've got a really good core. And the only thing you can ask for, and this is, from AJ ownership, is just to be able to, build on it. And that's it. So there's no specific wish list. I mean, I think we know you always want pitching. We have a free agent that we like in the outfield. We'll see how that goes. And, we can just go from there. But, yeah, you always want the pitching and, you always want the bat.
Talking to Mike Schilt. He's at the MLB winter meetings in Dallas. And, Mike, when you see Juan Soto to the Mets for $765 million, what's your reaction? Is it more on the long lines of, wow, our sport is so healthy that we can, pay these guys this much money, or is like, that's crazy, the big markets keep getting rich and this is going to be difficult to manage and sustain? What's your reaction to something like that?
Initially, it was like, wow. I mean,
us too.
I mean, and good for Juan. I mean, listen, the manager sits in a precarious position because, clearly he's an extension of ownership in the front office. But also, from my seat, I'm a players guy, so I got in this to serve players, because without the players, we don't have jobs. And without the owners, we don't have them either. So, but anyway, you look up and you say, good for the player. He works hard. He's going to get what he can get to utilize his, abilities that he's worked so hard to hone. But that is one massive number. And you just realize, but you look up and you start to look and you go, what is this relative to other industries? And it's not as big a number anymore. And then you look up and you go, I think this is a reference point that I've used in the past. I don't know how much, but in her heyday, this is even 10 years ago. Look up what Judge Judy was making in a year.
That's fair. Yep. My wife, who watches her every day, has reminded me of that she made an ungodly amount of money every single year for that show.
This is like 7-8 years ago. I looked it up because that same deal is, I always like to start people, it's like $47 million a year.
It's fair. Yeah.
She can't throw or hit a curveball or slider.
As far as we know. But yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We don't know. That's
saying.
Right. I don't want to sell Miss Judge Judy short. But my point being is, you look in the entertainment industry and you look at all these different areas that do make money off the talent. And you look at Juan's deal and it's still, somewhat reasonable. But you look at big picture and $765 million, that's a big price for a bat.
It is entertainment, after all.
It
It's
is
a really good comparison, actually. Well, Mike, we'll appreciate it. We'll let you get back to your, as you said, ancillary responsibilities for the next couple of days. But we'll be following it closely, and hopefully we'll catch up with you again either at or before spring training.
Look forward to it, guys. You take care. If I don't talk to you, have a Merry Christmas.
Thanks,
Thank
Schultz.
you.
You
Merry
too.
Christmas to Mike Schultz. And again, we will, if anything happens, obviously we'll have updates from there at the winter meetings. And
Need something. I'll tell you right now. I mean, I'm to the point now where it's like, you got to give me something. It's like in the next 24 hours, I need something that makes me go, yes.
That is such a fascinating comparison, though, because we think of sports and we think of entertainment, but sports is 100%. It's entertainment. It's a different form of it. Instead of an actor, you're an athlete, but you're paid. The money you're making is because you're on television and people pay tickets to see you, just like Taylor Swift at a concert. Or people are going to pay to see you, and you're reaping the money. So why shouldn't they make just as much as big-time actors and musicians? And if that's what the best in their industry are making, then that's what the best in the entertainment industry are making. And Juan Soto is undoubtedly one of the top performers in his, section of the entertainment industry.
100%. Yeah, you hear what people make on movies and stuff. You're like, wow, holy crap. That's a few months work, making $40, $50 million a picture because, well, people go out and spend the money and go see the picture. And but I've never begrudged a player. I think it's an overpay for Juan Soto, but I also know that Steve Cohen really wanted Juan Soto. And I also know that Steve Cohen, who's worth $21 billion, can handle it. No deferrals either. Just paying it out. Crazy.
That's the thing. You say it's an overpay. It's not an overpay if you can afford it.
If you can afford it, it's not an overpay.
It would be an overpay for the Padres.
I'm with you 100%.
It's not an overpay for Steve Cohen.
I agree. That's actually a really good point to make.
The part that sticks in my craw is it makes the Ohtani deal look like an absolute steal.
I know. It really does. For a guy that pitches and hits, and it's 60 homers or whatever.
And owns an entire Japanese market as well.
Yeah.
Ohtani much more valuable in terms of revenue generating, I think, than Juan Soto. Now,
nothing against Juan, but holy cow.
If the Mets win a couple of World Series in the next, 5 or 6 years with Juan Soto, they'll be very happy with this deal.
Are you guys with me, though, that, you need something that comes out for the Padres that moves the needle in the next couple. Even if it's Anthony Santander, I don't care.
I need a major league contract.
I need
It's
something.
not a minor league
That would be huge. If they got Santander, that would be sick. That would be huge. I'm not expecting anything that big. If something big happens, it's a trade.
It's a trade.
I would think, not a free agent sign.
Yeah,
but I would not be shocked if there's a big trade because it's AJ Preller.
I need something.
All right, we'll come back. We got some tickets to James Taylor to give away.
I feel left out. For the first time in a while, as a Padres fan, I feel left out of the mix.
This is what other teams felt like when Peter Seidler kept coming over the top and taking all the big free agents.
I don't like it. I don't like this feeling.
Shoes back on the other foot again.
I don't like this feeling.
With Ben and Woods back after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
Seems like we're going to hear a lot of Garrett Crochet trade talk the next couple of days. Whether it's
Dodger.
Don't think he's going to the Padres. No. It just seems clear that Padres would have to part with Ethan Salas or Leonidas DeVries or both.
Yeah, pass.
And they're not willing to trade either one of them. And I don't think there's any package of minor leaguers below those guys that's going to get it done, considering the level of interest in Garrett Crochet.
Yeah.
Now, if Garrett Crochet does get traded, and Corbin Burns, I assume he's going to sign somewhere, heard linked to the Mets, to the Giants, probably the Dodgers. But those guys are that's going to play out soon, Burns and Crochet. After that, I wonder how many phone calls A.J. Preller is going to take on Dylan Cease at that point.
So you're saying if you're going to move Cease, now would be the time to work the phones?
I would say I'd wait until after Burns and Crochet go.
Okay.
And knowing there's no one better you can sign at that point.
Yeah. And this will only really cost you prospects.
And, see what kind of interest you can get in Dylan Cease.
Yeah.
For a contender, looking for, it's a 1-year rental at this point. That's all you've got, but it's a very reasonable price tag. I'd imagine there's 3 or 4 teams that would get into some heavy bidding. Now, Is it worth it for the Padres who also want to win?
Right.
Don't know.
Don't you look at that and God, it's a tough one because it's just like Juan Soto. Remember, I mean, you sit in here and you go, how are we a better team by trading Juan Soto? It ended up we were a better team than we were in 23 after trading Juan Soto. Then you look at Dylan Cease and you go, if we get rid of Dylan Cease, who, by the way, again, as I mentioned earlier, he's a Scott Boras guy. He's going to get his bag. You want to do it now, not the trade deadline. If you're going to do it, you need to pull the trigger now. Personally, I wouldn't like it very much. I mean, I guess it all depends on the return. But unless the return is another guy that's just cheaper that can throw 180 innings well, you're playing for the future here a little bit. It does feel a little punty on this season, but it's not like that's the only move they can make, certainly, but it's a tough swallow for me. I realize that you probably need to do it because you're strapped financially.
I don't think that there should be any universe where the Padres have to trade Dylan Cease. Like, we don't love the offers. This is the best one. We have to do it. But I think you definitely listen. And if there's an offer that knocks your socks off, doesn't mean you can't then take, like they did last year with Drew Thorpe, and then take some of what you acquire.
Flip that
for major league talent, a starting pitcher.
With more control.
This year with more control,
Fair.
maybe 2 or 3 years. You just keep that window extending. If you keep Dylan Cease, the window is definitely more open this year, but closes faster at the end of this year. Is there a way to jam open the window for a couple of more years by being smart with Dylan Cease this offseason?
And at the end of the day, like the window talk, I get it. It's a nice little package to wrap it all in. I think when you have a team, and this is genuinely how I feel. This isn't the corporate mandate here. When you have a team with Manny and Fernando and Luis Ariz, like you can compete, you can win. Do you have enough arms to get you there? If you trade Dylan Cease, the answer is probably no. Doesn't mean the team's going to look the same at the deadline. You know what I mean? Like, can you patch it together for the first half, depending on the return, depending on what you can flip guys for, while also keeping your prospects? Again, we said last year, AJ's going to have to get super creative. He's going to have to GM his ass off. Nothing's changed. He's got to GM his ass off this year. Because as far as this team got last year, and the support that it got from the city and the fan base, real hard to step back. Real hard. In fact, a bit malpractice-y again, to step back again. So creativity is what he's best at. We need to give him a chance to be creative. Now, if we get to spring training and Dylan Cease is gone and Randy Vasquez is your 3 and, Johnny Brito is your 4 and Matt Waldron's your 5, okay, let's panic a little bit.
I think as a reasonable fan, I can understand that you can't extend both Dylan Cease and Michael King.
Correct.
And Luis Ariz.
Correct.
So I'm acknowledging that I'm okay with you talking about either letting Dylan Cease go after this season.
Yes.
Or if you don't want to get nothing for him, then I will entertain trading now without coming down like a house of bricks on you.
Yes.
But I want to make sure that means you're then allocating that money toward extending guys like Michael King and maybe Luis Ariz.
Yeah, and the thing is you can't.
So much so, I'd like them to announce it at the same time. We've
Correct.
traded Dylan Cease and extended Michael King. Could be a good 2-for-1 announcement if you were going to do something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there are some fans who will go, yeah, Dylan Cease in the playoffs, I don't want to see that again.
Fair.
And, the idea is to win in the playoffs. I don't think that way. I don't think just because Dylan Cease struggled in the playoffs doesn't mean he couldn't be a dominant force in October for you next year and lead you to a World Series title.
Yeah.
That's a real risk if you trade him. It's also been a very healthy pitcher who's probably due to have a not healthy season at some point, and you'd rather have it come with another franchise than yours. There's a lot of factors that go in to pitching when you are a front office and trying to make these decisions.
Yeah, he's up against it again. Again, I said this probably a year ago today. I do not envy his position. At all. I'm excited to see how it turns out, but I do not envy the position of A.J. Preller. And everyone in the chat's saying it's a punt season. Honestly, bro, I thought last year was a punt season, and it ended up pretty well. I realize you're not going to catch all that lightning all in the same bottle again every time. But if they can add a starting pitcher or two somehow, and again, Roki solves a lot of this. But if you don't get him, that's when I'll start feeling a little bit despondent. If he ends up going to L.A., you start to feel a little bit like, I'm going to watch. I'm going to be all in.
2026 is looking
better.
A little. No, I think that's looking a little scarier for the Padres.
Oh, great.
And if you lose Cease and King and Arise, and you can't afford to sign those guys, what do you have left? But what if DeVries breaks through and Salas are both, Rookie of the Year type candidates,
Sure.
and still have Merrill and Tatis and Machado?
Yeah, I
you
totally
still have a really good team.
I totally
going
neglected
forward.
to mention Jackson Merrill when I was, Manny and Arise, and I mean Jackson Merrill is a stud. So,
hi, this is Jackson Merrill.
Hi, Jackson. Need big things from you this year. No more pressure. But no, it's going to be interesting and potentially terrifying to see how it all shakes out and what it looks like in spring training. Based on how things have gone so far.
All right, it is time to give away a pair of tickets. James Taylor and his all-star band coming to the Rady Shell at Jacobs Park on May 10th. Tickets go on sale this Friday at theshell.org, but you can win them now right here from 97.3 The Fan. Be the fourth caller at 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973.
Threw yourself
off. A lot of numbers.
James Taylor feels like a Ben show.
He does.
Big time.
Very easy listening. I'm actually not a huge James Taylor guy.
It surprises me to no end.
But I know people are.
He looks just like my dad.
He does, doesn't he?
I
didn't even think of that. He does.
Just like my dad. I've seen fire, I've seen rain. Yeah, I'm not a big fan, but I hope you have fun, whoever wins the tickets.
Call now, 833-288-0973. Back. I know everyone was concerned. I did get my lab test results.
Oh, I can't wait to hear.
Just came in on the app. I can let you know how my
can't
blood
wait.
work looks.
I want to see how that cholesterol looks. Yeah, buddy. Coming up next, Ben's blood test.
97.3 The Fan. To get to, and not a lot of time left. So, what questions do you have about my blood panel?
Yeah, you did your blood work over the weekend.
You're most interested in the lipids, right?
Yeah, I want to know all about your lipids. How did they turn up?
I'm in the green.
That's good, huh?
It's a good ad for sdfatloss.com. Cholesterol, 135.
Is that good?
Between 100 and 199, they say, is normal range.
Okay, good.
Triglycerides, 77, 0 to 149 normal.
Okay.
HDL cholesterol, 42, above 39 is normal. And then non-HDL cholesterol, 93, 0 to 129, normal range.
Look at you.
How about me?
Congratulations.
How about me in the green?
I don't want to do this. Should have all done it together and done it as a bit and bet on who was going to be the highest. We really missed an opportunity.
We did.
Everything else good?
I believe so. I mean, I don't know what some of these things are. My MCV and my MCH and my MCHC and my RDW, my platelets all in the normal range. I know you were concerned, so.
Yeah, Rod wants to know what were your THC levels.
I think 0, actually. Ganja, a.k.a. cannabis. My bun is 14.
Your bun?
Which is, I do like buns.
Save that.
Oh, my goodness.
Save that.
Potassium is good, a little on the high range, but still in the green.
Too many bananas?
Perhaps. Calcium, right in the middle. Albumin, good. Globulin, good.
Just making up words.
Bilirubin, good.
Bilirubin?
Yeah,
I love that guy.
That's the thing that makes the babies yellow when they're born, I
think. He's a double-A pitcher for the White Sox. Yeah, I think we're targeting Billy Rubin, potentially.
I thought he used to do sports radio here. Scott and Billy Rubin.
Scott and Billy Rubin. That's right.
I think Billy Rubin Niebla is coming on later today. Chris.
It's true. Billy Rubin Niebla will be joining Gwen and Chris later on. Do we have a
220,
time?
I think they said, yeah.
Ruby.
So.
Well, guys, if you're listening, tell Ruby we said hello, and we're so happy he's back.
Yeah. All right, let's check traffic.
Out in the hall.
Let's check traffic, and we'll let Paulie take over with the rental report for the rest of the program.
97.3 The Fan Traffic Center. Here's Kelly Danick.
Several problems wrapping up our morning drive. Caltrans going to run a break to clear some debris out of the roadway. South 805 right before Bonita, so just watch out for a little activity there. Northbound side of the 805 at Claremont Mesa Boulevard, two-vehicle accident over to the right shoulder. And getting reports of a collision on northbound 15 before Miramar Way. Several vehicles involved got the two right lanes blocked. I'm Kelly Donick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
gentlemen.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm just fine. How are you?
Fantastic.
All right, we will start off in the world of college football. We were kicking this around off the air this morning. Kirk Herbstreit, Mr. Ohio State. The guy now he is I think he's a really good broadcaster.
I do too.
I've really come around over the last couple of years. I think seeing him on Thursday Night Football, I was a little unsure. He's the college guy, college game day. He's always on the #1 college game of the week or whatever. And I was like, him and Al Michaels, now that's going to be interesting. He's done really well.
Yes, he's really good.
But that guy, Kirk Herbstreit, he bleeds Ohio State.
Crimson.
Played for Ohio State. I think he still lives in the Columbus area.
Wow.
He is Mr. Ohio State, and unfortunately, there's a little bit of maybe some drama in the Herbstreit household because his son, Chase Herbstreit, is a quarterback. He's in the class of 2025, and yesterday he made his big college commitment. But it was not to Ohio State. Matter of fact, it was to their biggest rival. Chase Herbstreit committed to Michigan yesterday. I don't know if he was even offered at Ohio State. I don't know if there were rules. How does that conversation go?
Doesn't it stand to reason, though? What is he a quarterback?
Yeah.
He is, okay. Well, they have their quarterback for a while. Wait, no, Michigan has their quarterback for a while. That Underwood guy.
Bryce Underwood,
that's making like $30 million to play quarterback. All right, so doesn't it stand to reason if Michigan's going to offer you, Ohio State would offer you, could it have been he just said, sorry, Dad, I'm going to Michigan. I want to do my own thing. I want to be my own man. I'm not going to follow in the footsteps of the Ohio State University.
I think as a dad, ultimately, you're incredibly proud that your son earned a college scholarship to a Big Ten school.
This is pretty interesting, though. People said in the chat, he moved to Nashville because Ohio State fans were harassing him and his family at home. Okay, so he's in Nashville now. Maybe he's actually happy that his son's going to Michigan.
I don't know. I see him doing his like flight trackers, and I feel like he always ends up back in Columbus when I see that.
Interesting.
That's fine.
I thought so too. I did not know that.
It is think about it. Bo Woods gets drafted by the Dodgers. Bro, I'd have the hat on immediately, right? I'd be the biggest Dodger fan there ever was if my son's playing there.
Getting drafted is different than choosing the team.
That's fair. Getting drafted, you have no choice.
Right.
Bo Woods commits to the University of Southern California. I mean, bro, fight on.
Yeah.
100%.
Right?
100%.
It's an easy one.
It's a no-brainer. You don't even think about it. You don't think twice, your kid. Putting my personal...
Even had you played at Notre Dame.
Of course.
It
doesn't matter.
I agree.
You'd see me all the time. I'd be wearing the color you're wearing right
blood
now.
Blood is thicker than water.
Always.
Except my blood, which is not that thick anymore, fortunately.
You lost all the globulins in it, so your blood is very thin. It used to be very thick.
Yes.
Marinara sauce is thick. Meat bolognese sauce. They couldn't even get it out of the needle. Is this pork in here? What is this?
Real quick, Monday Night Football tonight, Bengals and Cowboys, 5:15 on ESPN. The Bengals are the favorites on the road. It's in Dallas, here in Dallas. 4.5-point favorites, Bengals.
Wonder if any of the winter meeting folk are going to make their way out to Jerry World tonight.
How far is Jerry World from the Anatole?
Far.
Arlington's like halfway between Dallas and Fort Worth. Yeah.
It's not an easy trip to get from where they are in Dallas out to Arlington. But I think if you're there and it's Monday Night Football, and they're probably throwing tickets around.
Yeah.
I don't get the Bengals. And Joe Burrow is a good quarterback.
He's
they just
great.
can't seem to win games.
Can't win games.
Dallas seems like a complete mess.
I'm not.
But
I'm
I
staying away.
I feel like at home, they're going to want to,
Who's their quarterback? Is it
Cooper
Rush still?
yeah.
Man.
I was right with my Carolina Panthers pick.
I was going to commend you
Thank
for
you.
that pick. What was my pick? Do you remember?
We almost won the game outright.
Oh,
you guys both
right.
had the...
we had the Thursday night game.
The Thursday night
Yeah,
game.
we both won.
Yeah.
All right, then finally, this is a little sportsy, but also not sportsy. So I was watching Red Zone yesterday, and I was not paying too much attention to the Saints and Giants game. I don't think they showed this fan in the stands, but you guys remember maybe a year ago-ish, the woman who flashed the portal that went across to, was it England or Ireland?
Yeah, it was like in New York,
something?
and it went and you could see it all the way over.
The magic portal.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And it turns out she was an OnlyFans model. It was all a bit of a publicity stunt.
Fine by me.
Well, an unidentified member of the New York Football Giants apparently reached out to this woman. Her name is Ava Louise. She's an OnlyFans model.
Check her out for research.
Yeah. And she posted a message exchanged between her and a member of the New York Giants. We don't know who. The football player messaged her and said, "Hey, sexy, got those 2 free tickets to the game. If you do me a solid and flash the Saints to distract them." Again, this is her bit. She's done this at several public events. She says, "Oh my God, what, for real? How?" He goes, "I play for the Giants. I got you." She said, "What number? So I make sure you get a good look." He says, "You'll be able to figure that out easily at the game. I can't have you put me on blast and me get fined, or knowing you get me fired." She says, "Email me the tickets, avalouisebusiness@gmail.com. I'll see what I can do." And sure enough, if there is not a picture of her in the game, censored, of course.
Boobs for tickets.
This sounds like a plot point from The Waterboy 2. Where the quarterback gets distracted in a big moment
by breasts.
By the model splash. You see the game.
And then he just gets drilled.
Completely drilled because he was distracted on the field. My guess is Derek Carr was not
distracted.
in any imminent danger of being distracted by someone in the stands. Although he did break his hand, I heard. Non-throwing hand.
Jeez.
I don't think she had anything to do with that.
I guess have you made it when people are offering you free tickets to see your boobs? Is that a definition of made it? Some would say, this is my life now, but I think you can look at it, the glass half full, and say, boy, I've made it.
Don't really know. No one's ever going to offer us anything to show any of our body parts.
Let's show it for free.
No one wants to see it.
Just
They'll pay you not to show it.
Just showed it.
We now have to refund everybody.
All right, and even if she did put him on, would any of us
in trouble for that?
Yeah, would any of us think what? I mean, I guess it's pretty creepy.
Well, I mean,
what did he say? Hey, sexy.
Yeah, hey, sexy.
Hey, sexy.
I guess public indecency is a crime, and if you're paying
There's
someone,
nothing indecent about that.
If you're paying someone
encourage it.
to commit a crime,
Yeah.
then you are essentially like a mob boss. So racketeering, maybe they can get him on.
Racketeering. They're building a RICO case against him right now? I don't think so.
We don't know which player it is, though.
Oh, racketeering. I just got that. You didn't do that on purpose, did you?
Racketeering.
Of course he did.
Man, that's
I've been
good.
thinking about it since I started that story.
That was really good. I didn't even catch it. That's so good.
Racketeering.
Racketeering.
No, we still don't know who the player was.
Yeah.
But
So
was
she
there.
went.
She was there.
Where are you off to? I got to go to the Saints game, show my cans.
Or did she make up this whole story to gain viral publicity, which is what OnlyFans account models are generally looking for in this case?
You saying they're not honest?
I'm not saying they're not honest. I'm saying they're clever.
Good marketing. Yeah, much better marketers than we are. I'll tell you that. We have stickers.
She's very smart. She seems very, very
If she had just shown up at a game and flashed people, that doesn't really, I mean.
She'd have to pay her way in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, well, maybe she did. But having this narrative with it all of a sudden makes it a story that we're talking about and making the rounds on the internet.
And now maybe a player from another team wants her to come and do that as well. Interesting story. I did see that pop up, and it was uncensored. But the one with the portal was not. That was not uncensored. That was on video, and I did catch that.
Same.
Was not mad at it. Not terribly.
We didn't. We got to most things that I wanted to get to today.
Yeah, we did.
It was a very
busy day. I vomited
twice. Busy show.
So that was good on a Monday.
Seals lost.
They did. Lost by 1.
That was unfortunate.
Yeah.
Soccer's lost, too.
Did they?
Yeah, they lost their season opener in Tacoma. They play their first game at Front Wave Arena this Saturday night. Seals are back home Friday night against the Colorado Mammoth.
Yep.
I'm assuming you will be there and working.
Emo night, yes. I'll be in eyeliner.
Right.
First time wearing it.
Scotty Scheffler won again, 9th time
now,
this year.
What was that tournament?
That was Tigers tournament, Hero World Challenge in Bahamas, just 20 players. It's not a full field, but gets real money. And
that's good.
Gets he was unbeatable this year. What a great year for Scotty Scheffler. And, we didn't shout out to his family. We have time for one quick shout out to his family at the end of the show.
I really hope we can see more unity and more peace when already things are so difficult. So, shout out to his family.
Longtime Padres hitting coach from when I was growing up watching the team, Merv Rettenmund, longtime San Diegan, passed away over the weekend. Merv was very universally well-liked person in Major League Baseball and San Diego sports circles, and he passed away. So
saw Tony Gwynn Jr. with a nice tribute.
Yeah.
Said he learned a lot about hitting from Merv Rettenmund. So rest in peace, King.
There it is. So Roki Sasaki is posted. Let the chase begin. Juan Soto's chase is over, and we're only a few minutes into the winter meeting. Sammy Levitt will check in again with Annie and Elston, who are coming up next here at the top of the hour. We will be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Until then, for Paul Reindl and Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Monday from all of us here at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long, everybody.